Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to your 420th episode of Mox Talks. I have a few videos for you tonight, mostly, honestly, about freedom of speech, because I was going to change the title, but I think that freedom of speech involves pretty much everything. Anything that you do, anything that you want to say, all of these things are expressions of yourself, hopefully, and in my opinion, the vast majority of your actions and yourself, especially publicly, I would consider to be freedom of speech. So it's your unique expression, and I like that. I like that idea. I think it's good. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I have this thing on the screen here that says audio stream cannot be heard. So if you can hear me, please let me know. That would be very nice of you. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for tuning in, because without you, the show becomes quite meaningless. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you spending your valuable time with us. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I hope you can. And I can't tell you how much I really appreciate you tuning in. That being said, it is Dabs for Donations Thursday, and if you would like to give a donation, which there are clickable links in the text body of the video, if you'd like to give a donation, I can't thank you enough, but I will be happy to do a bong hit in your honor. Because that's just the kind of guy I am. And tonight, I was getting all ready to do, I like to do a dab at the beginning of the show, a bong hit at the beginning of the show. You don't have to wait for hours for me to get, to the bong. So I do a show, do a bong hit in the first 15 minutes or so. And can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I really would like to know if you can hear the words coming out of my voice, out of my mouth, because that's very important to me. Let's see. Because the thing says that there is no audio. Oh, there it is. Okay, I think we're doing okay now. All right, so as I was saying, it is Dabs for Donations Thursday. I can't thank you enough for showing up. That being said, if you'd like to give a donation to Mox News, to help Mox News continue on, it will be my honor to thank you the only way I know how, which is to do a nice fat bong hit in your honor, because you are just so fucking great. And okay, and I'm trying to get a bong hit done here in the first 15 minutes of each show, so you don't have to wait, for an hour to get our first puff together. And I was gonna come out here and I was gonna be like, before Jackie Cat gives anything, I'm gonna do a bong hit in her honor, so she knows that there's gonna be like, she doesn't have to give anything, because she gives too much already. And I go to look at the Gmail, and it says Jackie Cat donated. And I was like, well, then we definitely have to do the first bong hit for Jackie Cat. And quite possibly the second one, because my guess is she will once again be the only one to donate. Because she's such a generous and sweet human being. Thank you so much, darling. I have a nice one ready. Again, I was going to do this one for Jackie Cat, but now I'm going to do it for Jackie Cat. Because usually the first ones on Thursday are just free, just to share it with you guys, and then the rest of them are to share more with you, but the idea is to get a donation out of them. So, and Jackie Cat every week, she's like, I'm the first one to get a bong, and you would have been anyways, darling. So I will get to that momentarily. Now, the really important thing that I want to tell you is that if you had Comcast cable or Infinity television cable, they have like this watch-a-thon week going on now where like all these channels are free. So if you have this, I would look up, look to see what channels are free, because it says like, watch-a-thon or special free channels, and I go, oh yeah, that means there's like Stars and some other stupid channel that I really don't care about. And I look, and it's like all these apps, like this one that I really like is called Hiya, and I went to see, it says that usually you have to pay to watch their stuff. I went to look at all of it's free, and I was like, I went to look at their movies. They had like 300 movies. They pulled like half of them out, and I'm going to watch them all before the free watch-a-thon ends. So I not watch them completely. I'm going to find out if there is anything to watch. I watched a Chinese version of The Seven Samurai, Akira Kurosawa, I believe is the way his name is pronounced, Akira Kurosawa. I believe that's right. He made a movie called The Seven Samurai. It's a classic. It's about these samurais who were down on their luck because whatever the war was over, and they're these like honorable guys, and they can't find work, and like they're being ridiculed and stuff, and starving to death basically because again they're honorable people, and they get hired by this village because they keep being raided by evil doers who take their food and their wine and their women. So they come to protect them. And I saw a Chinese version of that today. It was called I don't know. It was not very good. But I watched it all the way through for some reason, so it couldn't have been completely bad. I can look it up if you want to know the name. Actually, I can't because I deleted it. It had this one guy in there. It's fucking amazing. Anyways, I digress. Now, tonight we're here to talk about war, and who does war benefit? Who is war benefiting? Why are we doing this? Does it benefit the United States, or does it benefit a really teeny tiny percentage of the world's population? A really teeny tiny percentage of the U.S. population? I think it benefits such an infinitesimal amount of U.S. citizens that we're all being ripped off. All this treasure that we have to share in our country, our natural resources, our banks, our dollars are going $40 billion to fucking Ukraine so far in 2 months, right? $40 billion. That would have fed a lot of hungry children. But it's more important to send bombs and weapons and machines of death and destruction, because that's just who we are, I guess, now, right? I don't want to be that person. I don't want our country to be that country. I don't want all this, endless war. I'm tired of this endless war cycle. We're not even involved in this war, and yet here we go again. Here we go again, having to be part of this solely so that rich people can make money. Why are we doing this? Why, it's costing us $40 billion in 2 months' time. $40 billion. In order to make already super rich people even more rich. And I think that's a really shitty idea. I think the real problem is to make profit off of weapons of death and destruction. I think that's the real problem here, is making profit off of death and destruction in the name of peace. Again, there's conflicting interest here. If there's not war, if there's not, people that are, trying to hurt these people over here, then the war profiteers don't make any money, right? So the war profiteers ship all these weapons into the Ukraine, and instead of just allowing the Russians and the Ukrainians to take 2 weeks' time and figure this out. Now it's been 9 weeks, 10 weeks, and $40 billion US dollars. This would be over in 2 weeks' time if the United States wasn't involved. And this isn't entirely the point. I'm tired of our treasure going to these. I don't care who it goes to other than U.S. citizens. I don't give a fuck about Ukrainians. I just don't, you know. And I'm a very empathetic person. I care about squirrels, but I don't give a fuck about Ukrainians. And you know why? Because they're taking our treasure. They're spending our money in a way that's not accomplishing a single fucking thing. Okay? They keep sending more money, more weapons, aid to Ukraine, and the war just gets bigger. The war just gets hotter. Exactly what I told you it would do. How soon before it spreads into Poland? Right? Because if you keep fighting and you keep fighting, it's only going to expand. If they send more and more and more military contractors there to blow up apartment buildings and run drones into who knows what, in the Ukraine, right, they fucking evacuate this area, and then Russia fucking blows up this apartment building. What good does it do for Russia to blow up an empty apartment building? What good does that do? What good does that do the military industrial complex and all their military contractors? It means they get to be there for months and months and months making so much money. Does anybody believe the bullshit coming out of this fucking mainstream media? Does anybody believe the bullshit coming out of this government? How long are we supposed to put up with this? I'm hoping until Elon Musk takes over Twitter. I think that'll do the trick. Don't you guys? In fact, let's talk. Oh, you know what? We have information about the upcoming election here, about Trump versus Biden. Do you think that's what the upcoming election will be? Trump versus Biden? Because Biden is saying that he's the only one that can beat Donald Trump. Oh, and by the way, I've heard a rumor that Donald Trump is going to endorse Rick DeSantis, the mayor of Florida, the governor of Florida, Rick DeSantis, right? Isn't that? Anyways, he's going to endorse him, and this is what I've been. I hear a rumor floating right now, just started in the last couple days, that he's going to endorse him to run for president, and the funny thing is, I've been saying this for months and months, so I suppose it is possible that I'm the one who started the rumor. But then you guys don't listen to what I say anyways, so you probably wouldn't realize that I've been saying Rick DeSantis. It's Rick, isn't it? Is it Rick DeSantis? Is that what it is? Ron DeSantis. So I think this is completely inevitable. I want to point out that once again we're watching a sunrise over the country of Ukraine. The bicycle riders should be out any minute. It looks like another lovely day. Look at that sunrise. So pretty, right? See it on the bottom screen out there in the distance? Wow. That is so pretty. So let's see if we got a bigger picture here somewhere. There it is up in the left-hand corner. So all I'm saying is I just think that we deserve much better leadership. And I know I just sound like a broken record saying the same thing over and over again. I was going to talk about free speech because all my stuff is, all my videos are pretty much about free speech today. The thing is that this is all about free speech. Everything is about free speech. Fuck Putin. Are you kidding me? I'm not watching this channel anymore. We're done with that one. Fuck you, Z. Alright, we're done with that channel. Ooh, Russian doll. Now, I can tell you, I started a bunch of plants, and the Russian doll popped up first and foremost right away. I mean, I started like 12 seeds, and the Russian doll's like, boom, here I am. Hello, caller.
That beautiful sunrise that you were just pointing out with the kind of saffron color at the horizon, and then it turns yellow and then turns blue, that is an absolute sign of Russian bioweapons traveling low on the stratosphere towards Ukraine, and that's what that is. It's not a beautiful sunrise. It's filled with death, Mike. Russian death. And Putin is a madman trying to kill all the babies and the kangaroos in Ukraine right now. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
That's a sure sign of Putin's bioweapons floating over Ukrainian cities like a cloud of death. And you are calling it beautiful. Maybe it's beautiful to you. But you don't see any babies or kangaroos running around the streets anywhere else, do you? They're all dead, Mike. Putin killed them.
I saw dogs yesterday.
Well, dogs happen to be immune to the particular bioweapon that Putin is poisoning Ukraine with.
Just the kangaroos, huh?
When the wind is blowing towards Ukraine. Otherwise, the wind would just blow back into Russia. So only at certain times when the wind is going west, not east, from Russia to Ukraine. That's all that beauty, baby. So, I don't know what to say, man. I just worked hard today, and fuck them. Fuck all the bastards. How come Ron DeSantis and all these people, how come they're the best that can come forward? It's like show business. You got to make a name for yourself. You got to have a brand, and then maybe you're saleable, right? Politics is show business.
Yeah, I think it's become very much like that.
I mean, fuck.
It's like the politicians are celebrities now.
Yeah, you got to have a name. Otherwise, if you're a good person, like what's her name? The girl from Hawaii that we both liked.
Tulsi.
Yeah, Tulsi. She's got a name. She should run again.
She should run for president. She needs to run for president as a libertarian or an independent, just to keep her name in the cycle, because she'll be there one day.
Yeah, you might be able to. I'm sure they would hammer her because she's an unwitting enemy of the military-industrial complex and the corporate rule of America. I don't really think she's as well versed as you and I on the history of imperialism and corruption with it. She was against lesbians. She was against.
You know what? I look at. The thing about her is that you said that they're going to come after her. They came after her in the last election, and she bitch smacked everyone that came after her. So I hope they do come after her. I hope they come after her in such a big way, because that just will make her stand out more and more.
Yeah, all you can do is lose, right? I'll vote for her. I definitely will vote for her. I think she's a little slow on the uptake. She actually thinks that the system works, whereas you and I probably agree that the system is totally fucking broken. It's designed not to work.
Yeah, well, if you say that the system doesn't work, then what are you doing in politics? It's just a waste of time. You're just out here collecting money off your name. She has to look at it like it works. And maybe it does work. It's just that it's filled with corrupt individuals.
Yeah, it should work. But the more numerous the laws, the more corrupt the society. And we have so many laws. Little kids can't even open up a lemonade stand without their parents getting fined, or their lemonade getting taken away or something. It's like so. Yeah.
When two little girls had a hot cocoa stand around the corner the other day. They were collecting money to send off to some charity. I can't remember what it was. So sweet.
And they were unmolested by the cops, right?
Oh yeah, I don't think so. It's a nice neighborhood, dude. You don't want to fuck with anybody in this neighborhood.
Well, that's the kind of country we want to live in.
Yeah.
It's a country where, maybe some guy with a couple thousand extra bucks can open up a small business and not have to pay through the nose for $10,000 for a conditional use permit. He doesn't even have $10,000. How's he going to open up a fucking business? Of course, there are other not every business requires a CUP, conditional use permit. But if you're on land and you got a storefront, you need to put up a $10,000 fucking conditional use permit, even if it's just a fucking lemonade stand or a thrift store. It's crazy in America.
Yeah.
In other countries, you just put a shingle out and clean your street front property up a little bit and paint it orange, and then it's Habib's fried smoked shrimp or something like that. I don't know, but that's not the biggest problem. I mean, I'm just talking about over-regulation. The biggest problem is we got no representation. Otherwise, we would get rid of NDAA. Otherwise, we would get rid of the Patriot. Otherwise, we would get rid of Citizens United. Otherwise, APAC would be registered as a foreign lobby. We could do so much shit that needs to be done. And they got us running around like ants, afraid of the atmosphere, afraid of the government, afraid of each other.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that most U.S. citizens support the war in Iraq, the U.S. being involved in the war in Ukraine?
That's a hard one. I would have to say yes, because most people are kind of like, they believe what's on their TV. So I can't quantify it. It's probably above 50%. So
I think a lot of people don't watch the news anymore. I think probably the majority of people don't watch the news anymore.
I look at the numbers on Fox and CNN just off of YouTube, and it'll say 2.7 thousand views or 5.6 thousand views, and I look at some Joe Schmo podcaster, he's got 27,000 views, so they are way down in their numbers of viewership.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But like I said, just the other day, I saw a guy parked in front of me at a light, said, "Fuck Putin," and the Ukrainian flag. And so I don't know what to think about, America, I can't blame them because I'm an American, but...
Can't blame who for what?
I can't blame people for not protesting over the U.S.-backed NATO involvement in Ukraine, which has been going on 8-9 years now. Not protesting that, because we all just try to concentrate on our problems here at home. How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to keep gas in my car? And how am I going to keep the...
Which is exactly what the government needs to be focused on, by the way, in case you're wondering. How American citizens are going to pay their rent, how they can afford to fill up their car, what happens if they don't have enough money for food for their children. It goes on, and they're busy shipping off all our treasure to the fucking Ukraine, okay? All that money could help people with rent, with food, little children who need shoes. Give me a fucking break.
And this latest clusterfuck that they just invented, the first ever leak from the Supreme Court opinion, that I'm staying away from that like it's a tar baby.
It doesn't seem to be working the way they want, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is such a divisive issue. No matter which side you're on, you're just going to make enemies. You're going to get shit all over you. And it's like, dude, that's not the major issue in the United States. The major issue is the survival of the United States citizens, not from terrorism.
Well, that should be the priority for our government, at the very least.
They wrecked our economy. People, unless people are rich, they're barely hanging on, dude. That's the truth. Unless they're rich, they're barely hanging on.
Yeah, no, look, they fucking destroyed 50% of small businesses in America with their goddamn COVID bullshit. And those 50% of small businesses that they destroyed are not coming back. So they can, as Mike's saying, they completely fucked our economy. Not just that, they fucked the little guy over and over. And this is my point of the $40 billion that's been spent in the Ukraine in the last 2 months. Which we know about, it should be helping small business people. It should get back on their feet after this COVID fucking bullshit. We don't have fucking $40 billion to ship off willy-nilly to whoever goddamn piece of shit country say, please help us. Fuck you!
Yeah, if you were smart enough to get the government help, you got $2,400, right?
32.
But they gave away billions to their friends. And that's not supporting American citizenry. That's not rescuing the people. That's a fucking sellout. That's enriching the upper classes and the business class and the corporations, especially pharmaceutical. And you're throwing in jail people that open up their barbecue stands repeatedly against the medical regulations. You're throwing them in jail for doing the right thing, trying to keep their business open. So, yeah, man, it's the first time I've seen quote-unquote medical doctors take over the government of the United States. So,
and that's another point, is that all these nurses and all these doctors that are desperately needed, all I hear is, oh, there's a fucking nurse shortage everywhere, and they fired like half of the nurses in the fucking country. Because it's the middle of a medical emergency, and apparently there's just too many goddamn nurses. Fuck!
And the ones that decided it was worth it to stay, they're just doing dances on TikTok, with masks on.
Right.
And their little dances. We're rescuing the world. You can't even dance, So that's woke, man. That's woke. And I don't want to be woke. I don't want to be part of the cancel culture. I want everyone to succeed. I want everyone to do well. But we can't do it when the government has a divide and conquer strategy against the American people. The gays against the straights, the religious against the atheists, the abortion people against the Christians who consider it murder. It's like, I ain't...
Men against women, colored people against other people. It just goes on and on and on. This is what I talk about. If you're not in this little group, then you're not one of us and you're not welcome. This is the division, okay? There's no reason for that bullshit, okay? You can have your little group. You can have what's important to you. You shouldn't be divided from the rest of us just because you have your little group.
And, as much as I considered Trump in some ways to be superior to Biden, certainly very superior to Biden, he fucked up too. He should have had a more humane border policy. And that's just part of, every country has a right to enforce immigration into their country. That's just normal, sane policy. But you got to have a humanitarian policy that doesn't rip families apart. It doesn't do damage. We're going through a radical change on planet Earth, politically and socially and psychologically and spiritually, and even with the weather and stuff. The weather's changing, so I wouldn't call it global warming, but the weather is definitely, climate change is definitely provable. You got different centers moving around like they always have over spans of 100,000 years. So, and I don't want to get involved in that debate either, because it's like...
That debate is fucking stupid, okay? Yeah. It's a waste of goddamn time. Climate change is a waste of goddamn time. The debate needs to be... Climate change is a waste of goddamn time. The debate needs to be about, do humans pollute too much? Which is supposedly what's causing the climate change. Figure it the fuck out. Climate change is a distraction. The problem is people pollute too much.
You know what an almanac is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's just a bunch of farmers all over the place keeping track of climate change. You have to differentiate between climate change and global warming. They're two different things. The climate changes every day, every month, every year, every decade. The climate changes. So what?
You know specifically what I'm talking about. The debate is about climate change, okay? And I agree that climate changes every day. The problem is that not the climate changing, not global warming. The problem is people pollute too much. And all the powers that be are keeping you from having that discussion by talking about global warming and climate change. Because, we have to do something about that. Let's make a carbon tax. That's not it. You make a carbon tax, number one, it gets passed on to the people, and number two, it doesn't keep people from fucking polluting. Jesus.
Pollution is the key issue. But, you're always bitching at me about differentiating between Zionists and Jews.
There's a difference between that, okay? And it's somewhat racist not to fucking see that. Okay?
I hear you, and I'm trying to change my...
I'm not being racist or xenophobic or whatever by saying climate change instead of fucking global warming. I'm trying to keep you from fucking grouping all these beautiful people into fucking horrible people. Okay? There's horrible ones and then there's good people. And they shouldn't all be grouped into the same fucking group.
Yeah, well, pollution is a great word to describe what we need to do. We need to be anti-pollutionists. But global warming, that is just a catchphrase that isn't proven. It's a tar baby, and you don't want to be involved with that term, global warming.
Except for to say that it's stupid. Every time somebody brings it up, you say that's fucking stupid. All it is a distraction from what we really need to be talking about.
So, I just stay the fuck out of the abortion thing, and I don't know what's going down.
Abortion isn't any of your business, okay? It's
not.
No, it's not my business. It's not your business. I'll leave it up to the people who have to deal with abortions, okay? I don't have to deal with it. You don't have to deal with it. And for what other reason that people who don't have to deal with it in a personal level have to stick their nose into other people's business where it doesn't belong in the most personal business possible? In the name of protecting babies.
Yeah, well, it's not any coincidence that it's the Christian right that is always banging on the pro-abortion people, Yeah, they're always hammering them on their, they used to blow up abortion clinics in the name of Jesus and all this stuff. So it's a big issue that I don't want to... Even if I was president, I would just walk away and say, figure it out, because I'm not going to do it.
No. You have to stand on the side of freedom. If you don't stand on the side of freedom, then you're not doing your job as president. Okay, there's not a debate here about whether or not people should have the right to live their lives. This is exactly what I would say as president. So those of you who want to clamp down on others living their lives, just remember that the reverse is just as easily, okay? Oh, because of Jesus, we want to stop these people. Oh, well then Jesus is a fucking piece of shit and we need to stop you people, okay? So it's the proverbial slippery slope. And if you don't want people sticking their nose up your goddamn religious butthole, then don't be doing it to other people. It's none of your fucking business. Take care of your business first. Isn't that what Jesus said?
Well, apparently, it might be true that Trump caused all this shit by... who would he stick in the Supreme Court?
Trump is an easy fucking scapegoat. Fucking Brett Kavanaugh. Okay, that guy is one of the biggest scumbags that ever walked on the face of this planet.
It seems so.
No, he is. And and Trump gave him
she probably had an abortion.
Trump gave him a fucking permanent government job with a super high salary where he gets fucking Secret Service protection for one of the biggest pieces of shit that ever walked the face of this fucking planet.
Yeah, he's just a frat boy that drank a lot of beer.
He's not just a fucking frat boy. What he is George W. Bush's right-hand man. All through fucking 9/11, all through the Iraq War, all through his entire presidency, he was right there next to George W. Bush. He is one of the slimiest fucks that ever... What's that?
Was he legal counsel?
He was George W. Bush's lawyer. That's correct.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, that says a lot right there, dude.
And Donald Trump thinks he is a perfect person for fucking a lifetime fucking appointment to the highest fucking government position in our country. And with Secret Service protection, which means never mind.
Well, we'll see when and if this opinion, Supreme Court opinion, comes to light, who's on what side. And then you're probably right. It probably was Brett Kavanaugh, the straight arrow, the college frat boy, Bush's lawyer.
Have you ever seen that guy smile? It's the weirdest shit. It's the ugliest, most fake, unreal smile. It's like he has to force the corners of his. You ever seen one of those movies with aliens and they're talking to a human and the human doesn't realize that the person they're talking to is not an alien, and the person smiles and then the alien tries to copy the person's smile and it comes across like, that's what Brett Kavanaugh looks like when he fucking smiles. There's something wrong with these people, seriously.
Yeah, I saw that movie. I saw that movie, yeah.
They do it in a lot of movies. It's a very strange thing. But it's perfect when you look at him. In fact, when I look at pretty much all the Supreme Court justices, the only one that seems to actually have a genuine smile is Clarence Thomas. And there's probably a lot of different reasons for that. But
and it was Joe Biden who hammered. Who did he hammer? I think he hammered Anita Hill, not Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, that's why they fight and fight and fight over who gets to be a Supreme Court justice is basically because of the decisions that come out affect people for decades. So we'll see what happens when this opinion, if it comes out. They could change their mind behind closed doors tomorrow and we never hear shit from it.
This is all a ploy for the 2022 election. Oh, we can't vote for fucking Republicans because they'll take away our abortion rights. What rights are next they're going to take away? That's the entire play here, in my opinion. I got to take a bong hit, dude.
Okay, so do I. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks for calling. I look forward to talking to you soon. And I'm going to heat up my bong so that we can have a nice puff together. I think what I'll do is I will play this video about Trump versus Biden in the 2024 election and how Biden is talking about he's the only one that can beat Trump in the 2024 which may be the stupidest thing ever said by a president. But I doubt it. All right, so I'm going to play that video. I'm going to heat up the bong, and we will come back momentarily to have a big fat bong rip. That video? Should I play that video? Should I? Yeah, let's play that video. We've been talking about Trump and Biden, so let's play that video. I'm going to heat up the bong. Are you ready for a bong hit? I think you are. I know I am. Be right back. And this one's for Jackie Cat. And we are doing dabs for donations Thursday. So if you'd like me to do a big fat bong hit in your honor, I will be happy to do so. And there are clickable links in the text body of the video or chat, or there's also links in the chat. I am going to heat up the bong. I'm going to play this video, heat up the bong, and we'll come back and share a nice big puff. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, but I'd love to do a bong hit in your honor. Be right back.
I-24 News special Independence Day celebration as Israel celebrates its
New round of questions and criticisms for Black Lives Matter, also known as BLM, after a new report detailed a 7-bedroom house purchase.
All right, so I screwed up and I didn't get all my videos ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to fix all my videos so they're ready to play. I left this video on from the other night because I like it. We're going to play this and I'm going to go get my videos lined up and we'll go from there with a big fat bong hit, okay? Thanks so much for tuning in.
For some reason, that video never gets old. It's been years, and the government still won't tell us the truth about this video. It's a Navy fighter jet that spotted a UFO. And it's not us saying that the government won't tell us the truth. Members of Congress want answers. They want more from a Pentagon refusing to say much about those who have visited us in these videos. This map shows 6 separate incidents of unidentified and unknown flying objects detected by the U.S. military dating all the way back to 2004. A number of the UFOs were tracked or seen by multiple ships and or radar, and as you saw, captured on video. Congressman Tim Burchett, Republican of Tennessee, who's passionate about this issue, joins us now. Big picture, does the Pentagon know more than they're saying?
100%. 100%. And Leland, you had George Will on earlier. He said it's in our country's DNA not to trust the government. And this is another example why. These are Navy pilots. These are the top pilots in the world. And they didn't leak it, but somebody else leaked it. And for the longest time, they said it didn't exist. And now that they've come forward with these tapes, there's so many of them out there that show, they're flying into the water, under the water, in the air, like this, which we're seeing right now on the screen. There's just so much out there, and we need to start addressing it, because if these, whatever they are, have control of the air like that, it's a national defense issue for us, and so that's probably a meteor right there, but it's still pretty compelling. Somebody needs to start asking questions.
You think about this. There's three answers here, right, of all this stuff, or maybe multiple answers. But for each object, there's one of 3 answers. Either A, it's a U.S. government project that's top secret, and we don't want anyone to know about it, and they're testing it out on our own military. 2, it's a foreign military that's testing their newest and latest technology on our military. Or 3, it is something from out of this world. Which one of those 3 is most plausible?
To me, it's the third. If it was ours, we could end all conflicts, because we would have the strongest air power ever. 2, if it was the Russians or the Chinese, I mean, honestly, Putin, he would land one of those things on the White House lawn and ride a unicorn out and wrestle Joe Biden. So the reality is it's 3. I mean, there's historical references to this. If you read your Bible, first chapter of Ezekiel pretty much describes a UFO landing. And historically, we've seen it through the Dark Ages, through paintings. There's hieroglyphics on walls and caves. There's all kinds of things.
Okay, so play this out for me, though. If it is from out of this world, why don't they land on the south lawn of the White House and walk out and introduce themselves? They probably even wouldn't have to dress up like a unicorn. They look like unicorns.
Well, why would they? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Honestly, don't. If Billy Graham, I think, was quoted as saying, if you think that that we're the best that God can do, then you greatly underestimate God. Because there's, infinity is a long way out there. Yeah. If you look at the stars, and you're looking at stars, literally, just to put it in perspective.
I really like that quote. If you think that humans are the best that God can do, and it's so weird that people actually believe that. I want to see if this is going to come up now, because I think it will. Hold on.
A White House plan for a disinformation.
Sticking on politics, Elon Musk is the media's new public.
President Biden is now lashing out at his political.
All right, now we got everything in place. I'm going to heat up the bong, and we'll do a big fat bong hit for my girl, Jackie Cat. We'll be back momentarily. Okay, I'm going to heat up the bong now. Be right back.
President Biden is now lashing out at his political opponents, focusing much of his criticism on followers of former President Trump. Meanwhile, Trump is dishing out his own tough talk.
Is this all a preview of 2024? And what do most Americans think of the tone of the country right now? Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman has the story.
That Supreme Court leak exposed more than just the court's inclinations. It also shone light on America's growing divide, especially in politics.
What are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
Reminiscent of Hillary Clinton's deplorables comment.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic.
And on the other side, Trump continues his fear-mongering.
We will not let radical left lunatics or rhinos who are unwilling to fight because they're weak and they're very stupid take away from us what has been so brilliantly built.
Biden facing low approval ratings, pivoting to attacks on Trump and the GOP. And despite his earlier promises to unite, nearly half of Americans say the country's become more divided since he took office. Just 15% say it's more united and 35% unchanged. And throughout most of Trump's term in office, about 2/3 felt the country had become more divided.
The exhausted majority is real. There is a large majority in the country that is just exhausted by the tenor, the tone, and the vitriol that are a part of our everyday politics.
Optimism of that changing, waning, the closer America gets to Election Day. Politico reporting a rematch is likely, especially if one makes it official, then the other would too, calling it a game of political chicken. Biden supposedly telling his people he's the only one who can beat Trump. A rematch that, were it to happen, many believe would only add to the country's already damaging division. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
All right, people. I am ready for a nice fat puff for my girl, Jackie Cat. Thank you so much, Jackie Cat. You are so generous, girl. And I have another bong hit to do for Dawn. Thanks a bunch, Dawn. I'll be getting to your bong hit momentarily. And it's my pleasure. I can't thank you enough. But I am more than happy to do a bong hit in your honor. More than happy. It's my honor to do a bong hit in your honor. And you, Jackie Cat. I was gonna do this bong hit for Jackie Cat right at the beginning of the show, before she donated, because she donates all the time. And then she donated before the show. And Jackie Cat does so much more. Oh my God. How could you ask for a better person on your team than someone like Jackie? I personally could not. I want to work with her on a project that's fucking amazing. That's how incredible she is. And I owe a fat bong hit to Dawn, who also donated last week. Which, Dawn, thank you so much. It's very, very nice of you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, but it'd be my honor to do a bong hit in your honor. So, if you're interested in that, there are clickable links in the text body of this video. And like I said, I can't thank you enough, but it'll be my pleasure to do a bong hit in your honor. Okay, I really want to do a project with you, Jackie Cat. I really do. All right, let's see. So, I have this thing about freedom of speech, and I think freedom of speech wraps itself around pretty much everything that we do, and what I see is, you know, this government being horribly threatened by the idea of its citizens having freedom, its citizens being able to speak the things that they feel need to be said. More and more, you can see this from this government. Why would people politicians who take a vow to protect our freedoms. That's like the first thing they do when they become a congressperson, is they take a vow to protect our freedoms. Why would they do that? Why would they do that and then take away more and more freedoms? Take away basic rights like freedom of speech. Oh, we have to have a disinformation board because you people are dangerous. And we've seen that throughout the last couple of years, and honestly before that. I keep bringing up YouTube censoring everyone that was showing how to grow cannabis on their YouTube pages. Everyone YouTube was censoring, just deleting their accounts, just like they have with the COVID. And I was like, you're deleting people's accounts for growing flowers? The fuck is wrong? This is where we're at. You grow flowers, that's out of line. We gotta censor that now. That's how stupid this censorship shit has become. How beyond the pale, how much it's out of control. They censor people for growing flowers. Okay? And COVID, how many people lost their fucking YouTube pages because they said these paper masks don't do any good to protect you? You know, which again, the other day, I'm gardening a lot right now, and I was filling plants the other day with soil, and I was wearing one of those paper masks because I always inhale a lot of soil dust, you know. So I'm working, and it just didn't, this paper mask just didn't do any good. And the soil particles are gigantic compared to this COVID stuff, you know. So if the soil particles are getting through your fucking paper mask, obviously they don't do any good at all. And how many people got kicked off of YouTube for that? Had their YouTube's work, years and years of work, fucking taken away. Disappeared. That's a better word. Disappeared. This valuable work, this work that showed them as an individual thinker, this work that encouraged other people to be individual thinkers, this other work that encouraged people to look at things from a whole new perspective. Disappeared off Facebook, off YouTube, off Twitter, because you're not allowed to view things from a different perspective. You're allowed to view things from the list of okay perspectives. Growing flowers is not on that list. And this is the fucked up people that we're dealing with. It's not some kind of a matter of the things that are being said, you know, the paper masks don't do any good. That's not a matter of endangering anyone. We're hearing around the world, health organizations, the WHO, the World Health Organization, say that the paper mask don't do any good. So whatever it is that that we seem to be told, we seem to be expected to believe, it's freedom of speech is a threat to all of that. And this is why Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter is so incredibly important and such a giant threat to the powers that be. We see this overwhelming, like, CNN, MSNBC, politicians, big organizations. Elon Musk is gonna fucking destroy everything with freedom of speech, with freedom, something all these politicians swear to protect. On the Bible, on the religious text of they put their hand on the fucking Bible and they swear to protect your freedom, and all they do is chip away at your freedom and chip away at your freedom, and then pretend like we're fighting for your freedom by voting for the legalization of cannabis, the decriminalization of cannabis, which would be really good nationwide, except they know the Senate's not going to vote on it. They know that if the Senate did vote on it, that Joe Biden wouldn't sign it. Crime bill, putting people in jail for their life. Putting people in jail for life for non-violent drug crimes. That's Joe Biden. He's not going to sign the decriminalization of marijuana. So the Congress, the House of Representatives, stepping up to say, hey, we're fighting for your freedom in this way that we know you love, that we see spreading across the country, so we're certain that it's important to you. We're fighting for your freedom. We're fighting for that freedom that you love. When they know it's not going to happen. This is exactly what is defined as the controlled opposition. And that's the whole point. You know, you see this, oh, Republicans are different from Democrats. No, they're not. No, they're not. And I can prove it. Okay? They voted on this $30+ billion in aid going to Ukraine, and there was 6. Okay, there's like everybody voted to send $40 billion desperately needed in this country to Ukraine. By the way, fuck the Ukraine, because our people are the ones that need the help. I don't give a shit about Ukraine. How can people around the world go, oh my God? Or is it all just a fantasy that we're seeing on TV? I mean, because I tell you all the time how we need to have empathy. We need to have empathy for these people. We need to have empathy for the planet. You know, and yet, you know, people shit on their neighbors. People, you know, they see trash. They see a big old bag, a fucking empty bag of potato chips. Just an empty potato chip sweeping by them. I pick that shit up. You know why? I don't want my neighborhood to be filled with trash. Okay? And I know there's other people in my neighborhood who do that too. Because we care. We care that our neighbors, we care about the environment. Care about the squirrels that might get trapped in the bag and then get smashed by a car. So that's what I'm saying is the empathy, although it should go around the world to everyone, it starts at home. It starts by you caring about the people next to you. And then it could spread like wildfire because we all care about the people next to us. And then they care about the people next to them, and then they care about the people next to them, and soon everybody cares about everybody. Okay? So I'm an incredibly empathetic person if you can't hear that. Now, that being said, fuck the Ukraine. Okay? I don't give a goddamn about the Ukraine. Okay? I care about my neighbors. I care about the people of this country. And I'd love to care about the people of the Ukraine. We can't do that. We don't have the ability to do that. You know why? Because our country needs our care first. Once our country is on top of its game and we got shit flowing like a fucking strip club, fuck yeah, let's help everybody. Let's step up and end world hunger. Let's step up and make the changes that need to be made in this world. Instead of just keep going off the edge of the cliff. And we'll take away more money from the people and more money from the people. And the more they have to struggle, the less they'll be able to stand up and fight against us. And the more separated we are, the more we'll have to struggle. So, that being said, this is a call-in show, people. The telephone number is up there on the screen, and I'd much rather hear from you, which I'm sure most of the people watching would, than listen to me go on and on and on again tonight. Oh my fucking God. I want to get a dab in for, I want to get a bong hit in for Don before, again, he has to wait for 2 hours. For me to thank him properly. So I'm going to play this video about the other videos I have are pretty much all about Elon Musk. So I'm going to go heat up my tea, and I'm going to play this video for you. And I'll be back momentarily, because this is what I do, people. This is what I do. And hopefully we'll see you back then, and we'll have a big fat hit for Dawn. And if you'd like me to do it, a bong hit in your honor, I would be so happy to do that. But it is Dabs for Donations Thursday. I'm sorry, Bong Hits for Donations Thursday. And if you'd like me to do a bong hit in your honor, I'll be more than happy to do that. There's clickable links in the text body of the video to say thank you. And there's also clickable links in the chat. So now I'm going to play this clip, and I'll be right back, okay? Thanks so much for tuning in.
A White House plan for a disinformation board blowing up in their faces like a cheap Chinese vape pen. I wonder why that's so weird. Well, maybe because Americans don't want to put up with the partisan thought police. For the better part of a week, the Biden administration has been getting hammered left and right over its plans for a so-called disinformation governance board. Yeah, that sounds good. Critics calling it an Orwellian nightmare. But Homeland Security Chief Alejandro Mayorkas claims, as they always do, this is to keep you guys safe. We're doing this for you. Freedom-loving Kentucky Senator Rand Paul asked Mayorkas about just that. Watch.
How do you propose that you're going to have an office of disinformation governance if you see the problem in even determining what is disinformation?
Oh, Senator, because our work is not focused on disinformation writ large. Where we, the Department of Homeland Security, become involved is when there's a connectivity between disinformation and threats to the security of the homeland.
Aren't there a bunch of other government agencies for threats? So how do I know Mayorkas is lying? Because his lips are moving. There's also a little problem over who's going to run the agency. The White House has named Nina Jankowicz as the information dominatrix. Her qualifications seem non-existent. So Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy, no relation, asked Mayorkas about the vetting process.
When the department picked her, was the department aware of her TikTok videos?
Senator,
They're really quite precocious.
Senator, I was not aware of those videos.
What a fart party. These TikTok videos are embarrassing, to say the least. And within them, Jankowicz is singing about disinformation to the tune of Mary Poppins. It's barf-worthy. Watch.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious.
She's supposed to head a government agency. I am embarrassed for her. And new today, 2 states filing a lawsuit naming the president, Jen Psaki, Mayorkas, Jankowicz, and others, claiming the administration is guilty of its own disinformation campaign against conservatives. So where is this all going? Let's meet tonight's party panel in person. For Cinco de Mayo, we've got Fox News contributor, retired Marine Sergeant, and American hero Johnny Joey Jones. We have Fox Nation host Abby Hornacek, a fantastic volleyball player, and attorney and author of How to Become a Federal Criminal. The night is young. We're all going to get there. Mike Chase. That also means Kennedy's court later. This is so exciting. So Senator Paul went after Alejandro Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, about respect for the American people. And Senator Paul said, I have more respect for the American people than you do because I trust that they can figure out the truth for themselves.
Yeah, so what's so funny about this is Rand Paul being Rand Paul, which you picked two of the best sound bites probably of the entire deal, Rand Paul and John Kennedy. But Rand Paul says, listen, I've been telling people for months that cloth masks are ineffective. Are you gonna censor me? So Mayorkas responds back with, no, what we mean is like on Facebook they might say that FEMA's giving away injections that have fentanyl in them instead of the vaccine. So Rand Paul looks at him and goes, you really don't think Americans don't know the difference? Like you don't think Americans have enough sense to tell between a Facebook post that says you're going to get a fentanyl injection instead of vaccine and what actually is just information that people argue over?
So it's curious, because in this political climate, anything you don't like, anything that's bad for your side is misinformation or disinformation.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know the difference between the two, because the two terms are used so interchangeably. That's problematic. But also, who is going to decide what the truth is when so much of this, and they act like those truths are objective. They're not. They're very subjective. So who gets to decide?
That was my first question, Kennedy. Where does the Disinformation Governance Board go to actually get its information? Are you going to have a team of investigative journalists who are all come in with no bias to go do this research and find out every single answer? I mean, it's physically impossible. And it's just sad, because when you look at the overall feeling about the government right now, I'm not saying that all Americans don't trust the government. I'm saying that there are parts of the government. I know. I just feel like there are parts of the government people don't trust. You take Dr. Fauci, for instance. He is in charge of leading the coronavirus response. Yet an NBC News poll came out and said 43% of Americans don't trust what he says about the coronavirus. And you're like, okay, well, where am I supposed to go? He's also the highest paid employee in the federal government. So, I mean, I don't know where you go. I think maybe we come to Kennedy's show.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. And you know what we do? We dismantle the Ministry of Truth. That's the first thing we have to do. So is that what this lawsuit between Missouri and Louisiana is aiming to do? Are they aiming to point out what this administration is doing in terms of disinformation, so they don't have the credibility to launch a Ministry of Truth?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to get out in front of it, because right now this is early days. We're just hearing about this for the first time. And this board is really just being formed. We're just finding out about the person who's going to lead this. The problem that I have is, look at every bureaucracy that we have in the federal government. Every agency started out small enough, and ended up with thousands, hundreds of thousands of ways to enforce their mandate, right? So what I'm concerned about is, right now they're saying, look, we're just going to flag disinformation and that's going to be it. What I'm concerned about is when they say we need more power in order to enforce our mandate. We need crimes to prosecute people that we think are purveyors of misinformation and disinformation. And that's when Americans do get swept into the fray, because those are the people who get charged with a violation of whatever this organic statute is that creates this board.
Yeah, and when do they start working with the FBI and the CIA, or the post office and the CDC, who are also, they have a surveillance campaign against Americans as it is. So when does this board follow suit? And I agree with you. I don't trust it, even when it starts small, and even when they say, you know what, this is for you. You know, we've got your best interests at heart. You don't have to worry about us. We're looking out for you.
There's some good news here, though, because if you've watched Mayorkas answer questions on this, they don't know what in the hell they're doing.
They didn't know the vetting
They don't
process.
know what this board is going to be. They don't know how it's going to work, what authority it's going to work under. I think this might have meant to be a little bit more of a red meat for those freaking out over Twitter than actually something they're going to stand up and institute.
I think, yes. I mean, but they try to say, like, no, this started under the Trump administration. Well, why are we hearing about it now, the week after Elon Musk says he's going to buy Twitter? When everyone is freaking out, like, Twitter's now going to be just filled with disinformation because there's no content moderation. So it's like, don't worry, the federal government will step in and spy on you.
Disinformation like, I don't know, President Trump's a white supremacist. That's not disinformation, because that's all over Twitter.
Yes, it is. And that he is the color of a Cheeto. And I believe that that is also misinformation. Meanwhile...
All right. Meanwhile, if you'd like to donate to Mox News, the clickable links in the text body of the video, and I'll put some in the chat momentarily. I really, when I look at news, I don't think that, I think that Kennedy is news, but it's in this discussion format, which I'm really glad that she does what she does, because you know, we just don't see this discussion properly being talked out. Some of the people I don't care for that she has on the show. She had Daryl Issa on the show this week. Okay, so this bong hit is for Dawn. Dawn, thank you so much. Wow. All right, so thank you, Dawn. Very nice of you. I think you guys are much too kind. So, Jackie Cat and Dawn, thank you. And if anybody else wants to give a donation, there, like I said, is clickable links in the text body of the video, and I'll put some in the chat. Now, as I was saying about Kennedy, I'm really glad that she does what she does. I don't like some of the people that are on there. That being said, that blonde that was in that last clip makes me wet. She was talking about physical impossibilities or something like that, and I was like, well, I'd like to test that theory with you. But that's how my brain works. Among other ways. All right, so I have a few bong hits left if anybody wants to do one. Hold on. I just think we deserve better. This stuff that's going on in our world, I'm at this point to where I'd really like not to talk about it anymore. I'd really like to talk about what happened in your world today. I'd like to talk about, I'd like to talk about seeing an owl or talking to a squirrel. I've been talking to the Blue Jays, right? And the Blue Jays, I think they know who you are. It's strange because one will pop up and I'll be, hello, beautiful baby. And I'll start talking to him. And the next thing you know, they're like hopping along right where I am. They're like, tell me more. Tell me how I'm beautiful more. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday.
Nice. What's up?
Yeah. Just got my hammer and wielding some rants, as normal. Like Thor would do.
Cool.
How about you? How are you doing tonight?
Good.
I noticed a couple things today. First of all, Mike from Southern California earlier was talking about politics as branding. I think you were both talking about that. Politics is just branding, like this is your product and this is something that is sold to the American people, and that isn't really representative democracy.
I was talking about I was saying how they kind of have become celebrities, like we're supposed to like kind of worship them like they're special instead of they're supposed to worship us like we're special. Because that's how they're supposed to be. Go ahead.
So I stumbled upon something today inside of a story, and then I followed some links, but it wasn't like the lead of the story at all, and it's really interesting. And this was from USA Today, but you may know that Karine Jean-Pierre is the new White House press secretary. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was this really cool photograph. It looked like ebony and ivory, and they were laughing, and they had their arms around each other, and they were looking each other right in the eye.
Yeah.
And that's the transition to the new spokesperson. It's really cool. She's also gay, in addition to being black. She's gay, and she seems really nice. And it's a good story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So USA Today did a 15-paragraph story by, about this new press secretary, Jean-Pierre is her name.
Yeah.
And 13 paragraphs down in the story, there was this one paragraph. It says this. The White House also announced longtime Biden confidant Anita Dunn will return as senior advisor and assistant to the president. After joining the White House last year, Anita Dunn moved back to SKDK, a political consulting firm where she is a partner, founding member, and she's a principal partner. And that's it. And then it goes, the next sentence goes back to Jean-Pierre. In her most visible role in the administration, Jen Psaki gained a cult following online for her pointed exchanges with reporters and sharp delivery. Jean-Pierre led White House press briefings multiple times in her absence. But this paragraph about longtime confidant Anita Dunn returning to be the special assistant and advisor to the president, who was a consultant for SKDK, was just this fucking non sequitur, Mike.
Yeah.
Non sequitur in a fluff piece about this new gay black spokesperson for the president, right? So I'm like, who the fuck is this lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out, this is from the Atlantic magazine, November of last year, 2021. Biden is Anita Dunn's, so she's worked on 5 presidential campaigns and was basically Joe Biden's campaign manager after New Hampshire, ran his fucking campaign, essentially. And she also essentially ran the campaigns for Barack Obama in 2012 and in 2008 was a principal. And there's photographs of her in this Atlantic Monthly magazine where she's sitting in the White House with like Rahm Emanuel standing, and there's like all these Congress people, and she's sitting directly across the president staring at him, taking notes. Like she's in the fucking room when all of these decisions are being made.
Yeah.
She's the 5th presidential candidate. Carter, Glenn, Bradley, Obama, 08, 012, and also 2020 with Biden. She's been involved in House, Senate, governor, and other races. Her life is wrapped up in her work. She met her first husband, Bob Bauer, when she was working for a House candidate in the 80s who needed help with a recount. In the following years, Bob Bauer also became a top aide to Obama and served as his second White House counsel, his lawyer.
Yeah.
He's now finishing his time today is finishing his time as Biden's top lawyer by directing the response to Trump's election results. This was posted in November.
Yeah.
So this person, she ran the campaign for Biden, and then she worked as a special advisor to the president until about July of last year. Then she went back to the private sector, went right back to her consulting firm. And a lot of people said, that's kind of fucked up. That's like a violation of ethics. Like, you can't just jump back and forth like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then other people said, well, it's great for Anita because it's going to give her time to have the president have influence on the outside world, right? And that's a good thing. But now they decided to bring her back into the administration as a special advisor, a fixer. She's a fixer, is what
right.
she is.
That
And
shows
she's being brought
desperation.
back
That
in-
shows desperation.
Yeah, she's a fixer who's coming in May, 6 months before the election. 2 things also. This thing about women's rights. One of the groups that supports her is All in Women's Rights. So the leak that just happened about the Supreme Court justice, and then also the very day that she says, oh yeah, she's coming back, they put an African American in as the press secretary immediately. 2 things that happened right away.
Yeah.
And it's basically it means the Biden campaign is going right into campaign mode for the 2022 elections. And this group that she works with, and this is from influencewatch.org. They're like they're people who like monitor this stuff, right? It's this firm called SKDK. It's a political consulting and public affairs company whose clients include prominent Democratic Party politicians, including former President Obama, Andrew Cuomo, Michael Bloomberg. They also represent AT&T, the Rockefeller Foundation, American Airlines, and so on. And it even says on this webpage, which I'm sure has not been updated in the past 24 hours, it says that Anita Dunn herself, one of the 5 principal members of this firm, it says, despite promises to return to the firm following the Biden campaign, Anita Dunn instead became a senior advisor to President Biden following his election. She claimed that the role was temporary and she would return to the firm in the summer of 2021. She received heavy criticism for the position because she's only temporary advisor. She's allowed to skirt traditional ethics disclosures that require government officials to disclose conflict of interest, all right?
Right.
But who were her clients? Her principal clients that were her clients were Pfizer, Microsoft, IBM, Ford, Comcast. Those were Pfizer, Microsoft, IBM, Ford, Comcast. So she's a special advisor to the president who gets to lead the president without any scrutiny and then go into the private sector, consult with IBM, Microsoft, Pfizer, Ford, and Comcast, and then go right back into the inner sanctum of the fucking White House and direct what the fuck is going on. So when people say, who is the president right now? Well, yesterday the president was whoever Biden's chief of staff was. Today, the real president is Anita Dunn. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It can't be Camilla Harris. This person obviously has as much influence as anyone in the White House. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that according to the Atlantic Monthly, which is like a total progressive liberal haven, that it says that she is one of the only people who can say no to Barack Obama and to Joe Biden, and they will listen to her because they trust her judgment that much. That's who she is.
So
but
she's Satan, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that she's a damn good public relations lobbyist for the biggest interest in America, and they get their fucking voice in the fucking room when decisions are made, and they get input on those decisions from that fucking room. And it's just a revolving door. And it's true with Republicans as well.
So you're saying she's Satan then, right? Actually, I hate to put Satan in a bad light. So never mind.
Yeah, she's a manipulative person, like that television program House of Cards, and all of those characters that are like, they're lobbyists and they work for PR firms, but somehow or another they have one-on-one relationships with like important business people, with politicians staff, and they know everything about everything, as much as the people who are in the White House doing all of the analysis and writing fucking laws, right? So this thing about like our representative democracy being real, it's just a farce. But what's interesting about it is this lady has always tried to remain in secret. Like she said that she doesn't really want her name in the public realm, and that she likes to work outside of the image of the public realm. This person, Anita Dunn. So isn't it funny that they announced she's coming back as a senior advisor the same day that the CNN and USA Today are tripping over themselves because an African American is going to be the press secretary? So the whole eye of the country is on this gay African American woman. It's so cool, Mike, that she did it. I mean, well, they're really it's really working out. But as the whole country's attention is focused on this, they're ignoring the fact that like a principal, key Democratic operative / fixer is now going to be an assistant and personal advisor to a president who's practically senile. That's just coincidental, right?
I would say this is the worst government ever, but it's been this way forever. Though the government is just getting worse and worse, and that's why I come out here and I scream about it. But I don't think that it's making any difference. So
no, it's pretty it's entertaining, and I appreciate the input.
Yeah,
for sure. I know at least 20 other people do, so it's awesome. But also, the front page of the Wall Street Journal today, Mike, said that the Dow stock market, the major index of the stock market, dropped 1,063 points, and it was the largest sell-off since 2020. So for 2 years, it's the biggest sell-off in 2 years. But it isn't even mentioned on the front page of CNN. It isn't mentioned on the front page of USA Today that the stock market just dropped 1,000 points this afternoon. That usually is a story in the news, right? But it's not a story in the news because it's like we've got the first black press secretary. We've got a leak from the Supreme Court. We've got the U.S. intel helped Ukrainian ship sink prize Russian warship. U.S. intelligence sunk a Russian warship. Oh, that's on the front page. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I look at all this, everything about the news and the news cycle appears to be to distract people from what's actually happening. It's not to inform people. It's to say, hey, look over here. Don't look over there. Over there is stupid. They're lying. It's disinformation. Just look this one way because you're only allowed to look this one way. Yeah,
that firm SKDK that Anita Dunn works for, that makes information, it's a public relations firm. Well, they got a contract for $35 million from the state of California for their voter outreach program to get people to get out and vote, right? Like they're partisan political organizations, so I'm sure there was lots of Democratic literature laying around those offices, like to get out to vote, for one. But also they made these packets every single day. The staff of this SKDK made packets where they went through the news, like they went through the New York Times, or they went through New York Post, or they went through Fox News, or they looked at just online, like, whatever, online sources, and then they identified articles that they claimed were misinformation, and then gave those briefs to Facebook, to Twitter, and to YouTube, and to several other, like, big tech companies that have platforms, so that they could know that their firm had let them know clearly these particular stories were misinformation, including stories like about Russia and Russiagate, those kinds of stories. So this is, again, the person who's going to be a key advisor, is a key advisor to the president, and will have a post back in the White House.
Look, I see, I was talking about Brett Kavanaugh earlier. The government is just filled with evildoers. And it's just so sickening, I mean, I get why people don't want to pay attention. I get why people don't really want to have this discussion, is because it just makes you sick. It doesn't, I want to say it doesn't do any good. The thing is that it's the one thing that I think could join us all together, is to see the evil that exists inside our own government and decide that something has to be done about it. But I can understand why people would want to just, find something entertaining and tune out, because it's so hard to pay attention to evil. It just makes you feel dirty.
Yeah, like I mentioned from the Atlantic Monthly story about Anita Dunn, her husband, who she married in 1980, and she worked on her first campaign for Jimmy Carter. So she's worked on 5 presidential campaigns in the last 40 years. Her husband ended up being Barack Obama's personal counsel in the White House, his lawyer in the White House. So they're so connected, and it's, so it's like both of them. It's like a team. They were both working together to just get power, and they've got it. They've got tons of power. That was their goal. And there's something kind of sociopathic about that, right?
Yeah.
They're like sociopaths. They look for opportunities to make connections. And remember how that was so popular? Like, I remember that being very popular 15 years ago, where the whole thing about email lists and contacts is you make connections to make connections, kind of like before LinkedIn. But it's an idea in your mind that the way to get ahead in the world is you make these connections, and then you exploit every one of those connections to your advantage to get what you want. It's kind of like politics on steroids, and it's just gotten worse. Anyway, she's old school though. She's old school person. So it's going to be whack and burn everything, slash and burn politics.
It's just going to get worse. That's all I'm saying. And obviously bringing in people like this should make that clear to everyone. And I'm really glad that you opened our eyes to this, because this is exactly what our government is about. Is about Pfizer, is about all these corporations, and that's why, the military-industrial complex, that's why we're in such horrible, desperate shape. That's why we have to clamp down on freedom of speech, because otherwise, people are going to come together and say enough. I sure hope. And I know that the government is terrified that might happen, so it could.
I think there's 2 governments, right? There's the deep state, and then there's the other government, the one that we're allowed to see. But there's this other government. And this other government, controls the military, controls the CIA, controls, intelligence, and has a lot of influence in big technology. And it is kind of an entity in and of itself. People see it as all of these separate, different entities, but I think in many ways, it is the real government. and that the military-industrial complex that kind of grew out of World War II was the template for every other sector of the economy as corporations began to take over the economy. Like first it was like, oh, the military, they make rockets and airplanes, but then it was everything. You know, the car makers, you know, whatever, the manufacturers, agriculture, all of it just became dominated by these big corporations that almost become fused with government. Like I think Robert Kennedy Jr. called it regulatory capture, that the pharmaceutical industry had captured the CDC, captured the FDA, because all the people working in those government institutions used to work for Pfizer, used to work for Moderna, and that they had this rotating, revolving relationship between the two. And that is like, fuck, what are you supposed to do about that, Mike? I mean, I'm not a multinational corporation. You're not a multinational corporation. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
there's only one thing we can do, which is come together, you know, and throw these bastards in jail. We must make examples of them. People are like, oh, you know, otherwise we're just going to get the same thing again. You know, these people are corrupt to the bone. And then again, even if we throw all the current people in prison for the rest of their lives and seize all their assets, which must be done, even if we do that, there'll be ones that come behind them that are corrupt, and we must throw those ones immediately into prison instead of even allowing them to complete their term as a representative. But it will make the point that our eyes are open, and you fuckers, we own your bitch asses. It's not the other way around.
Well, the change, I think, will also be accelerated by outside factors from outside of the United States. You know, as our economy implodes, some nations like China and Russia can implode our economy much faster and kind of accelerate the whole process of change. One of the stories I saw from RT today, from the website RT.com, was that Europe calls for confiscation of frozen Russian assets, and the sanctioned assets would be used to rebuild Ukraine, the European Council president says.
Yeah.
So they're going to steal whatever. You own an apartment, you own a house, you own a car, and it happens to be in Europe, or you have assets in a bank, or you own hard assets like gold, and it's in an American or European bank, that is just going to be taken away from you, sold at auction, and the money is sold, and the money is going to be given to the country that you're at war with, that is actually being given weapons and loans from the West. Right? Well, I just want to remind people, I did a quick Google search, and it says, and this is from Statista.com, by the end of 2020, American-owned assets from the United States overseas, abroad, amounted to $32.26 trillion US, an increase from 2019 when assets abroad totaled $29 trillion. So $32 trillion of U.S.-owned assets are overseas, right? So when we start taking Russia's stuff in Europe and the United States, there is nothing that is going to stop Russians or Chinese people or, you know, Venezuelan people or Iranian people or Brazilian people or anyone in the fucking world to take our assets away from our multinational corporations and our elites, right?
You know, and I can't say that wouldn't be a good thing, but
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Capitalism, it's collapsing. I mean, it's not working out. Like, they don't play by the rules. These people who created capitalism, like I mentioned yesterday, they said, this is the system that we're going to play by. We created it. We know how it works, right? They don't play by the same fucking rules, Mike, right? A free market capitalism, well, you don't steal people's shit if you're playing a big game of Monopoly. I don't just stick my hand across the table and grab a third of your money and say, oh, let's keep playing. Where were we in this game called global capitalism? I mean, that doesn't work at a certain point. The game won't work anymore.
This is all just acts of war against Russia, too. And this is really, really Again, the topic of this, do you support the United States has absolutely zero business in the Ukraine. All they're going to do is expand this war, and now they are literally conducting acts of war actively against Russia and Russian citizens. I don't know how you can look at this as anything but an escalation. This is what I'm saying. If the U.S. hadn't been involved at all in the Ukraine, it would have been over in 2 weeks. Now we're going on month 4, and it's escalating out of control.
It is, and so are the statements and the rhetoric coming out of Washington, D.C. as well. Like there was the story I mentioned, it was claimed by NBC News that the warship Moskva was sunk by, and they claim that they fired anti-ship missiles.
Yeah.
They fired 2 Neptune anti-ship missiles, but the Americans are claiming we didn't pull the trigger.
Right.
All we did was we identified the ship, we told them where it was, and we gave them live tracking so they could know exactly where it was as it moved. But we didn't pull the trigger.
Right.
Right.
Basically, we aimed the weapon at the ship, and then we said, push this button.
You could pull the trigger right now. Yeah. And then the other one was a report from the New York Times on Wednesday that said American intelligence in Ukraine was targeting and killing Russian generals. And they claimed, I think in the article at 12, they claimed 12, but there's no confirmation of any of this, right? They claim they killed 12 generals, but it was reported that U.S. intelligence helped kill those generals. According to antiwar.com, the Pentagon downplayed the report, saying that America wasn't sharing intelligence with Ukraine and location of military leaders, but would not deny details outlined in the report. All right, so the fact they are targeting officers and then using U.S. satellites and U.S. personnel and U.S. data, and they're feeding it directly to the Ukrainian military, just like Canada and Poland and Germany and America are also training Ukrainian troops in the Ukraine and have foreign trainers on site at all of these places, including in that fucking steelworks. It's a fucking war. And Russia just said a couple days ago, recall yesterday they said, or 2 days ago, they said, look, if America is involved with like the war, like their intelligence, using their intelligence to kill us, we can target those places, right? So whatever you think, when they're sinking warships with U.S. intelligence, I guess that means that the Russians, in their mind, can say, well, we can sink an American warship now, right? And
it's not even that way. That means they can target whatever the fuck they want. Okay, it's like you're saying, you're going to target our wealth, we'll target your wealth. So this is what I'm talking about, the non-ending, out of control escalation. This is what the Pentagon and the military industrial complex want more than anything, is somewhere they can escalate fucking this war. These people are fucking just have to go to prison because, and the most important reason these people have to go to prison is to make the world safe for little children. Because right now, those people in charge are fucking vampires, and they don't care who they have to kill to get more money and more power. And that includes your children. So we're clear.
Yeah, they don't care about little kids.
I'm not even talking about little kids. I'm talking about your 20-somethings being sent off to a hellhole to be shot at and killed or blowed the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't think that the leaders, the elites in the West, have any consideration for their own people or for people in Europe. I don't think they care. Anybody can be sacrificed, and when they start, threatening people with nuclear war, they're literally saying they'll kill their own children for money or power. So simple. That's how fucked up they are, and I mean, their kids should figure that out. Especially the kids of the professional class, the ones who should be in the streets demonstrating against war, right? Like during Vietnam, said, fuck this, and they went out in the streets, right? That should be happening right now, because what are they supposed to say to their parents across the dinner table? Like, hey, it's really cool that you guys are like pushing for the nuclear war and you're trying to kill us all. I mean, they should be pissed off, but they're not.
Again, I think that people don't want to focus on any of this stuff. Like I said, it makes you feel dirty. You know, I mean, it's like, oh, fuck, this is so disgusting. I need to take a shower. And so it's easy to understand why they would tune out from this. You know, nuclear war, ha ha ha. And I've said nuclear war isn't something to worry about because it's going to happen so fast that you won't have time to worry. So if it were to happen, it would be so fast that you would, it'd be like a blink of an eye. You wouldn't have to really worry. If it doesn't happen, then why is it that they have us worried about it since the 1950s? Okay, because it benefits them. And I'm telling you right now, if nuclear war were to happen, that means all their profiteering ends pretty much.
Yeah, it does.
So
They
like profiteering. That's what they're all about. So they're not going to light up nuclear weapons. They're just going to threaten your children with them and you.
I don't think that the same they are the same they here. Like accident, and I've mentioned this before. We don't even have to think about it. But the highest risk of war comes from human decision making and accidental nuclear war. And the actual beneficiaries of the weapons that are being made are not the actual people, exact individuals who are making those split decisions in a time of war or when there's some kind of malfunction with their equipment, where a missile isn't working properly. And that's my fear. Is that when people are on high alert, it just takes a small error, a small glitch, in order for it to fucking not work anymore. The doomsday machine isn't perfect. It may be 75 years old, but it's not perfect. And therefore, any flaw in the system could mean millions of people die.
Well, nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect, number one. And number two, in 75 years' time, this thing that you said that you're afraid of has never happened. So I think that for people in general, it would be best not to have those worries, because the likelihood of it happening is very unlikely, because it hasn't happened in 75 years. So thinking that now it's going to happen in the next few years isn't very likely.
Well, let's put it this way. The likelihood of it happening 75 years ago was actually less than the likelihood of it happening today, because there just weren't as many missiles, right? And as technology has evolved, these missiles can fly much faster. So the response time of the elites has been cut in a fraction of what it was before. So they have even less time to make these decisions and how they're going to respond. So I don't know if that is necessarily true. Even though 75 years is 75 years, it's true. It doesn't mean that every period of time during that 75 years was the same, or that the risk was the same. The risk increased several times, and it's a real risk. I mean, keep walking your dog and enjoying life, of course, but it doesn't mitigate or deny the fact that it's a real risk.
Okay, so what is it that you're actually afraid of when it comes to nuclear war?
I'm not. You keep using this word.
No, you said afraid. You said this is what I'm afraid of, is that there will be an accident or human error.
I'm saying that it's an existential risk that is a real possibility, that goes up and down with events that occur around the world. And there's an organization called Bulletin of Atomic Scientists which measures that number based on events that occur around the world.
Okay. And what is it about this risk of nuclear war that bothers you so much?
What bothers me about the possibility of thousands of species going extinct?
That's already happening. That's already happening.
Well, accelerating that process to where it becomes even more impossible to turn back.
Oh, if there's nuclear war, there's no coming back. Their humans are dead.
Yeah, Anita Dunn may be as powerful as Satan, right? But I am not an advocate of creating hell on earth at all. And pushing, because,
I'm not an advocate of it. I'm just simply saying there isn't anything to worry about from it. Because it's going to happen. And number one, it's above your pay grade. And number two, it's going to happen so fast that it won't be this thing where, oh, we all have to suffer for all this time. It's going to be the rapture, baby. It's going to be so beautiful. Everybody leaving the planet all at the same time.
I get it. I mean, I hope you're joking. But I honestly, I get what you're saying, Mike. But I mean, I get that the thoughts about that, right? But
well, it's thinking about it in a way that's not this terrifying thing that could happen to all of us. It's this beautiful thing that, maybe it could happen, but if it does, it's gonna be fucking awesome, and there's no reason to worry about it. That's my point.
Yeah, I think it certainly can happen. I think it'll be very horrific, and I don't believe that you'll just die instantly. I mean, I think a lot of it will be based on your location. All right. And some people will die over a few days. Other people will die over a period of months. Many will die very quickly. I don't think that it's just going to be like this screen where things just change color and then you don't see anything anymore and you're gone, just like, Soylent Green, the end of the road. No, I don't think it's going to be like that for everyone. A lot of people will suffer, but it doesn't even matter. I think it's a risk that, as far as I'm concerned, I am concerned about it. All right? And not very many people in this country actually fucking are, to be honest with you. Joe Biden and Barack Obama.
I just don't think it's a reality, number one. And number two, if it happens, it'll happen so fast. And it's completely out of our control. There's really nothing we could do about that at this time.
Well,
other than take down the government. If we take down the government, which I keep calling for, then we could actually have, then we could prioritize these nuclear weapons. But right now, there is absolutely no one that's going to do that other than to upgrade them. So we have to, this is another reason we have to take back our government.
Well, this also explains a lot, like, between the difference, I believe, between, like, the Russian and the American attitude towards these questions, right? In World War II, not a single American city was destroyed, and relative to other nations around the world, not very many Americans died. I mean, there were probably 150 million Americans in America then, right? 500,000 doesn't affect everybody. It affects like one out of every couple hundred people or something.
It was, yeah, there might have been less than 150 million people too. Go ahead.
Maybe, but in Russia, there were 20 to 27 million people who died.
Right.
And that just happened in their grandparents' lifetime. They remember that shit. In other words, they know how vicious we are. They understand that principle, and that affects the way that they're going to react and respond to this situation. So, I mean, that is a reality. Americans as a whole, are the public. One of the reasons why we're not responding to the threat of nuclear war is because we've never seen the consequences of war. We didn't see the consequences of all those Ford and GM trucks and those munitions made by DuPont and all the oil used for Hitler's army. We didn't see what it did. We just made money off of it. That's all we ever did. And in Vietnam, it was even worse because there were more people, 175 million people in the United States, and only 50,000 Americans died. Right?
I don't think it was worse because the people were in the street then and they were demanding change. So
yeah, there was opposition to war.
Yeah.
Unlike Iraq and Afghanistan, which were wars that lasted comparable amounts of time.
There was opposition on the Iraq War, but it pretty much ended more or less after the war began.
Right. So anyway, I just think that that our attitude is we haven't seen significant suffering in this country. We've been able to take advantage of being the dominant power in the world, occupying countries like Korea, Japan, occupying half of Western Europe, occupying the United Kingdom, with military bases, mind you, all over the goddamn world, 800 military bases. We've been able to do all of that without having like Philadelphia, Kansas City, Boston, just be completely destroyed and occupied by foreign armies, and our land just completely destroyed, people murdered, raped, thrown in pits, all of the things that we saw in World War II. And since we haven't experienced that suffering as a nation, as a whole, we're kind of like we don't understand the risk involved with these weapons and what we're suggesting, what we're doing.
Right. No,
There's a big anti-war movement in Germany, and there's a big anti-war movement in Japan. There were big anti-war movements in those countries, anti-nuclear movements in those countries after World War II.
There's still
militarism.
There's still anti-war, anti-nuclear protests in Japan, like constantly. I mean, they do it. They do it all the time, So I think that's what I was saying about the protests. It's this is the spirit that's missing from America now, and that's the only way we get our country back is by coming together and saying, we can do better.
Yeah, we can do better. I'm going to get off the phone and listen to some other callers, and I'm definitely, what was the question about Russia? It was, do you support American involvement in the Ukrainian war? No, of course I don't. I think we should ban the CIA, get rid of our nuclear weapons, dismantle the military, and, live together in kind of neighborhoods where we respect and treat each other, as you described earlier.
I just want the people in this country taken care of properly. Then I'll be more than happy to help everybody else around the world. But until the people of this country are cared for properly, there is absolutely no way that we should be looking anywhere else.
I think we should help people in Iraq and in Yemen.
Well, yeah.
Example,
well, look,
where we fucked up their country.
Yeah.
And in Somalia, Ethiopia.
Yeah, but we pretty much. You said 800 bases around the world. Look, I again am more than happy to help everybody. I want to focus on our country because right now it's so broken that it's pretty much impossible to genuinely help people. We're not helping people in the Ukraine. I bet you there's billions of dollars going to Afghanistan and to Iraq to help the people of those countries. We're not helping them. We fucked their entire world. And until we fucking get our hands on this military-industrial complex, we're not helping anybody anywhere.
And just as a side note, let's take the Central Intelligence Agency out of like international aid programs and the Central Intelligence Agency out of like, Peace Corps and out of like, nonprofit, non-governmental agencies that provide aid to people. Often those institutions are infiltrated by the CIA.
Yeah.
So they'll use the Peace Corps or they'll use a huge loan so that they can bring their own advisors who are anthropologists or analysts for the fucking Central Intelligence Agency into a region so that they can understand an area under the cover of working for the Peace Corps or NGOs.
Yeah.
So I would love to give these people lots of aid. I don't have any fucking problem with it at all. I'd rather spend that on aid than on weapons programs. But in fact, the way the whole system is set up right now is only set up to benefit American corporations. And I think we're moving to a point where the corporations around the world, the transnational corporations, they have more power than individual governments do. Amazon, the Russian oil company, Standard Oil of New Jersey, they have more power than governments do. And they can do what they want around the world. And that's the world we're moving into, where governments are actually going to have less power.
Like you said, the corporations are all in control right now, so it's questionable how much power governments actually have. They're just, doing what the money wants them to do, which is what they're always going to do.
Do you remember that
take it back.
Japanese anime movie? Is it Ghost in the Shell? Was that what it was? Ghost in the Shell? That's what it was. About a corporate terrorist kind of in the future who It was anyway. It was Japanese dystopian sci-fi.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And yep, corporations having more power than governments, and it's true. It's going to get worse. Big Brother is here, and he might be a friend of Mark Zuckerberg. You know. Anyway, I'll talk to you later, Mike. Have a good night.
All right, thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Peace.
Okay, so let's see. I have another video for you. I'm going to play that video because I want to go heat up my tea and give someone else a chance to call before we, call it a night. Plus, I have the other video made, and I don't make them just for me. I actually have a couple of videos. We'll play this one first and see if we get around to playing another one. Okay, thanks again. I'll be right back.
Sticking on politics, Elon Musk is the media's new public enemy number one, and nobody seems to hate him more than the New York Times. The paper's latest hit piece went after his upbringing in South Africa. Interviews with relatives and former classmates reveal an upbringing in elite, segregated white communities that were littered with anti-black government propaganda and detached from the atrocities the white political leaders inflicted on the black majority. All right, so why now? Well, because Musk is now a threat. He's buying Twitter, and he threatens the left's control of political conversation. And that means very different coverage of the exact same man. When Musk revolutionized autonomous driving with Tesla, the Times wrote echoes of Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. Back then, he was just a quirky computer programmer on the way to billionaire status. Now he's a racist. Elon Musk left a South Africa that was rife with misinformation and white privilege. Well, clearly he's the same guy, left South Africa at the same time, but now he's a man worthy of scorn and contempt because he's a threat. Think of people like Jerry Buss, who bought the Lakers, Mark Cuban buying the Dallas Mavericks, or Robert Kraft. At one point, they were all no-name businessmen who bought pro sports teams. Suddenly, they became famous and relevant, borderline kings in their own towns. Before being owners of the teams, they were just like any other rich guy who had trouble getting a table at the local restaurant. Now, they can get a table at any restaurant. A month ago, Musk was the quirky guy who started an electric car company. Sure, the car drives themselves, but he was just another rich guy. He sent people to the International Space Station, but again, just another rich guy. Fast forward to today. For $44 billion, he just became the most relevant man in political conversation. Nobody understands media criticism better than Colby Hall, News Nation producer, founding editor at Mediaite, a news site that covers the news. Colby, are we wrong to wonder why the New York Times would go from the next Steve Jobs to racist?
I don't think you're wrong to wonder that. I think I would respectfully disagree with calling this a hit piece. I think the New York Times did a deep dive in Elon Musk's background for the very reason that you just laid out. Like, he's suddenly the most powerful man if this goes through, and a true leader on the argument or the fight for free speech. And so as a result, journalism is all about speaking truth to power. He's as powerful as you get, and taking a deep dive into his background is totally reasonable. But what I think was at issue with that New York Times piece is the tweet that promoted it was really salacious, but the article itself, was fairly reasonable. They interviewed his father, they interviewed a lot of his friends, and growing up in apartheid South Africa in the 80s is a very different thing, and it informs who you are. And I think it's fair game to question who he is.
It's certainly fair game to question it, although when you start off with he grew up in apartheid South Africa, that sort of by definition says, hey, this guy has these racist issues if he is inundated with anti-black propaganda and the like. That was the tweet. Then all of a sudden you read the article, had non-white friends growing up in apartheid South Africa. His own father was an anti-apartheid politician. He literally left so he didn't have to serve in the apartheid military. And yet the tweet, by any fair reading, says this guy is a horrible racist because he grew up in apartheid South Africa.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Where does it say that he's a racist? I mean, all it says is that he grew up in apartheid South Africa, which is objectively true.
Why else? I mean, the tweet could have very easily said, Elon Musk left apartheid South Africa because he didn't want to serve in the military and now wants to bring those same values to Twitter. It would have been factually true, but you would have drawn a very different conclusion.
Well, I mean, is this the first time a social media manager created a salacious headline? And speaking of someone who does that, we do that all the time.
Okay.
But the article itself, the issue is not a hit piece. The article did not paint him as a racist. It told the story of what it was like to grow up. You know, he left South Africa when he was 17 and moved to Canada. And I think, honestly, this guy is a really fascinating character.
Yeah, for sure.
And the actual article gave a lot of interesting background, which, I didn't find to be racist, wasn't even a hit piece. It was honest and again, I think it was presented in a pretty tough way.
Is it fair now, though, that Elon Musk has bought the equivalent of like every pro sports team? He suddenly is now this highly relevant guy. And I think about his tweet from Elon. He was reacting to a piece on MSNBC, and you guys covered this at Mediaite. NBC basically saying Republicans are Nazis. Same organization that covered up Hunter Biden laptop story, had Harvey Weinstein story early and killed it, and built Matt Lauer his rape office. Lovely people. How worried are people in the media about what's going to happen in sort of the leveling of the playing field in political discourse?
I mean, I think it depends upon the media outlet, but I think you're right to say that a lot of people are kind of freaking that the chattering class has benefited from the status quo. And what Elon Musk is promising is to shake up the status quo, which, worries everyone that's benefited from that. And I think a lot of people are sort of interested in that. I will say there's an old adage that, the wind always blows harder at the top of the totem pole. And that dude's at the top of the totem pole right now. So I think he's up for it. I think he's game. I'm fascinated to know who this guy is. And yeah, I think people at MSNBC and CNN and other traditional media outlets, the established media, are freaking out right now. And,
maybe that's a good
I think
thing.
that's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. You're right. You're right about that. It is awfully fun. Cable news, as they say, is a full contact sport. And boy, you think about sort of cable news, network news, and the New York Times is even more so. Colby, it's good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Leland.
Yeah, awesome conversation. Coming.
Good job, POS. I think I must be somewhere in that neighborhood myself. It must have got this way somehow. So I am looking for a phone caller. That's why the telephone number is up on the screen. And that number would be 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News. Please feel free to call at any time. Or not. And I really enjoyed that story. I think I especially enjoyed the part where Elon Musk was calling people at MSNBC or NBC Nazis because they hate that shit. Nobody does that. Nobody is calling out the mainstream media properly. And there's Elon using the N-word, which is the word Nazi is just not allowed, once you reach a certain level of, decorum or, Oh, see, there's that beautiful beach down there in the right-hand side. See that guy? He's got that on the upper right-hand corner. He's got that entire beach to himself. How fucking amazing. I would just be sitting out there smoking fatties and meditating. Listen, I bet you can actually hear the water, It's very difficult to hear the water these days unless you get away from everything because there's so much background noise. I bet you can sit there and you can really hear the water. I'm so jealous right now. I would love to be sitting on the beach in the Ukraine, enjoying that view all to myself. All right. And again, when I say nuclear war is nothing to be feared, I'm really being genuine as possible. Okay, war is something to be feared. War affects us on a daily basis, day after 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 day. War affects us never endingly. If there's a nuclear war, again, the war profiteers, this is the last thing they want. They want war day after day after day after day after day after day. They want war endlessly. Nuclear war fucks that all up. Okay, so the likelihood that there will be some kind of a nuclear bomb exchange is pretty much zero, in my opinion. So, and if it were to happen, and the reason you don't want to worry about it, number one, is completely above our pay grade. Until we take back this government, there is absolutely nothing that we will be able to do about war. And I only say that because I've fought against war for a long time. And it's because of the evildoers in our government that refuse to represent our people. And again, this is why you buy, I mean, not you guys are brilliant, but people buy into this this false Republican, Democrat, left, right bullshit. Okay, they're doing the exact same thing, which is giving away all our needed money to fucking Ukraine in the form of fucking weapons, which will only expand the war, which will only make the war profiteers more and more money, which will only make them want to expand the war more because it's working so well so far. This is why all the war profiteers must go to prison right now. And the reason that they have to go to prison isn't just because they're going to, well, it is. It's because they're going to give this never-ending war cycle, keep it going as long as they possibly can. And that's not the reason, though. It's because this this never-ending war cycle, it makes the entire planet more dangerous for your children. Okay, the planet is already dangerous enough. You could get bit by a rattlesnake. Man, a rattlesnake bite is very difficult to survive. You get bit by a rattlesnake, you get bit by a spider. You could fucking crash your car. You could trip down the stairs. Okay, the life is dangerous. It doesn't need to be more dangerous. And these people, in the name of protecting us, make the world 1,000 times more dangerous. And that's why they have to go to prison, because they're going to do everything in their power to keep the world as dangerous as possible, including threatening you and your children with nuclear war. So, number one, that's the reason nuclear war, a nuclear exchange will not happen, because the war profiteers love profiteering off of war. And they don't want that to stop, and a nuclear exchange will make that stop. It's gonna fuck everything in the entire planet. If one big bomb goes off here and one big bomb goes off there, that's not much of a nuclear exchange. If one goes off here and one goes off there, it fucks everything on the entire planet. Okay, so it's not going to happen. Number one, don't worry about it. Number two, if it were to happen, it would happen so damn fast that genuinely you wouldn't have time to spend worrying about it, right? You'd be like, I mean, you could go ahead and pull your hair out for 40 minutes, or you can sit down and hug your dog, or whatever. But it doesn't have to be this thing, because it's not going to make the slightest bit of difference if you worry about it. And you have to tell your children some way that it's not a realistic thing. that they've threatened us. I remember when I was a little kid. This is what you tell your children. I remember when I was little, and they threatened me with nuclear war. I'm still here. I've never seen a nuclear bomb go off in a war type situation. So, this is number one, not fair. This is the military industrial complex terrifying. Not just you, terrifying you, like way worse than almost anything imaginable. The potential of nuclear war. But it's not just you. The little kids hear this too. Okay? And I grew up with this shit. We could die at any minute. How much does that fuck the brain of an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old? We could die at any minute. You have to explain to them, as I'm trying my best to explain to everyone listening, that it's not a reality, and if it were to happen, there's nothing we can do about it. So you don't worry about it now. It's not as if, it's this thing that's going to walk out like Chris was saying. He's worried that there's going to be this long, drawn-out death. The death is... if there's 2 nuclear bombs that go off, one here and one there, it'll fuck everything on the planet. And then there will be a long kind of drawn out thing where people get poisoned around the planet from the nuclear clouds going around, the nuclear rain coming over our heads. They'll be poisoned more and more. It will be fairly slow, but it's not... the likelihood of one nuclear bomb going off and another, that's not an exchange. Okay? An exchange, and again, it fucks everything. Okay? These people that are in charge of the nuclear weapons, the people that are making the money off of all this never-ending war, they don't want to fuck everything. They like the way things are. They like you being in slavery and being there to serve them and take it up the ass. And they can't help, lusting after your children being in never-ending slavery to them also. Because as we can tell, it's getting worse and worse. So, again, I don't want to share this stuff with you. I really have to find something better. We'll talk about the Blue Jays more next show. But first, I'm going to play another video for you since no one's calling. And the telephone number is up there on the screen, 805-669-6397. And as I've said before, if there is an actual nuclear exchange, right, where like 100 missiles go off over, 100 nuclear bombs go over there, and 100 nuclear bombs go off here, there will be no survivors, number one. It will be very quick. Maybe at best, 40, 50 days, the stragglers. But the main thing is going to be this glorious kind of fucking send-off party, right? It's just going to be like everything catches fire at the same time. Just go... I am a golden god! Coming for you, Jesus!
Hello?
Hello?
Is this Fox News?
Maybe.
How the fuck do you not know if it's Fox News or not?
I don't care.
You don't even care if this is Fox News.
Doesn't matter to me in the slightest.
Really?
Maybe.
That is amazing.
Everything to you is amazing.
Really, it is. Absolutely shocking.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know if that's the same fucking word.
No.
It is.
No. Not the same.
Shocking and amazing.
No,
I guess
it's like misinformation and disinformation is the same word. I don't know the difference. Of course you do. It's easy.
I don't.
You don't seem to know a lot of things, do you?
I'll be the first to fucking admit it.
Good.
So yeah,
A man has got to know his limitations.
I tell you what, and I think that people like that Iowa Blackbird guy in the chat, I think if they just admit that they are not so freaking smart all the time, then maybe they just, be happier.
Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. That's what I told them exactly. Don't worry. Be happy.
I'm seeing I'm actually watching the chat right now. We got a couple of fucking people trying to talk shit.
Well, can you focus? Okay, you're talking to me on the phone. Did you want to talk to me on the phone, or do you want to focus on the chat?
Oh shit. Well, some fucking guy Rooster was talking shit. I'm sorry. I guess I pulled the stuff like you did. You were talking to Katrina instead of talking to me. So I guess.
Well, Katrina's hot.
Is she?
Fuck. A girl with a name like that gotta be hot.
Dude.
Dude.
No wonder Patrick's trying to get into that.
Patrick's trying to get into everything. He's a fucking huge slut.
He is. I bet he is. I bet he really is. He tries to play it off like he's not. But really, he is a fucking whore. He really is.
Well, whores do it for money. He's a slut.
I wonder where he is. He's not. I didn't see him in the chat at all.
Lucky.
So I hope he's okay. Where the fuck is Wilco been? That guy is fucking on hiatus.
I thought you were tired of Wilco. You drove him away, man.
I am tired of Wilco. I'm tired of his shit.
Well, there you go.
Well, but still, I can be concerned, even though.
It doesn't make sense. You want him to go away, and then when he goes away, you're concerned?
It's like misinformation and disinformation. Why don't you know this? You should already know this.
Okay.
I mean, you just fucking said it. You just fucking said it.
Okay.
Anyways, what are you doing?
I'm getting ready to go watch Kung Fu movies and have a burrito. It's goddamn Cinco de Mayo. What the fuck do you think I'm doing?
I don't know, fucking around. Like, doing nothing.
Well, I guess, maybe. That's kind of my life for the last 20, 30 years.
Who called tonight? Who called tonight?
Same people who call every night.
Did the landlord call?
Yes.
The landlord called, I missed it. What was he talking about?
He was talking about smack with you. He's talking smack about you, every single word.
He was talking what?
He was talking smack.
He was talking, oh shit. I will straight up bitch slap the landlord if he ever fucking does that again. I swear to God. I swear. I don't be playing no games with people talking shit about me, especially on the show, over the phone, or up in the chat. So all you motherfuckers who sit over there in the... Oh shit, I almost went straight. I'm sorry.
Are you done? Are you done yet?
I
thought you called to talk to me. Every time you call, you want to talk to people in the fucking chat. Jesus Christ, dude.
Why can't I send a message to the people in the chat?
Why can't you send a message to me?
I'll send a message to you. Michael, can you tell the people in the chat that I will fucking kick their fucking asses if they even think about trying to talk about me?
Well, good luck
Dr.
with
Whisper. By the way, this is Dr. Whisper, by the way.
Okay.
But I got a message for you, Michael.
Gotta go?
And you just look absolutely amazing today. Have you done something different with your hair or anything? Am I not noticing something? Because you just look like you have an amazing glow.
Well, thank you very much. That's very nice of you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I am kind. I am kind.
Oh, I missed one.
I am a kind person.
All right, you can just keep telling yourself that.
trying to get off the fucking line here because I got the landlord and fucking Chris from Olympia get to fucking sit on the phone for 45 fucking minutes and talk about nothing that interests me, but I have to deal with it.
You don't have to deal
I
with
don't
it.
have to
No
deal
one's
with it.
making
I
you
know.
have to do anything.
I know.
Are you sure? Because it sounded like you didn't know.
I know. Jesus Christ. But I'm just saying, they fucking get an eternity to fucking just sit there and just be like, hello, my guys, this is Chris Willick, and how are you doing today?
Well, they actually want to exchange information where you just want to talk shit about everybody.
Okay, well, give me a subject to talk about and see if I know any information about it. Like a smart one. Like, what are we talking about tonight? What's tonight's fucking...
We're talking about Alex Jones.
We're talking about Alex Jones today?
Yes. What do you think?
Alex Jones is the shit, bro.
See, there you go, talking smack about people again. That's just all you do is talk shit about everyone.
Jones. I fucking love Alex Jones. He's fucking great.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
He is amazing. He's hilarious. How can you not like Alex Jones? Like, give me one reason to not like Alex Jones.
I'm not giving you a reason. Okay. Is there something you want to talk about, dude? I got kung fu movies to watch.
All right. A new subject. Let's get like a new subject. We already went over the abortion deal, and I mean, I kind of reconsidered. I was like, you know what? Fuck these bitches. You know, they can just deal with the kid. I don't even care anymore. So, or they can fucking do the abortion. I don't even give a fuck.
It's none of your business, man. Nobody cares if you care or not because it's none of your business.
Right. I agree. I absolutely. It's none of my business. And why should I even care? You know.
It's none of your business. It doesn't matter if you think you should care or not. It's none of your goddamn business.
I am fucking for abortion now. Pro-choice. Abortion is love.
I don't care what your opinion is of abortion.
Abortion is love. Abortion is love. It's the most your mother could ever do for you in your life. It's just abort you so you don't have to be in the shitty
Why do you want to make people feel bad about this incredibly difficult decision? Okay?
I'm trying to fucking make a positive song right now.
No, you're not. Okay?
Yes, I am.
And no, you're not, and I don't like it. Okay? Because you're making people feel bad about this horrible decision that they... Yes. You're making...
You just called it a horrible decision.
Right.
It's supposed to be a good decision.
No, that's not what it is. It's a horrible decision to have to make. And women have to fucking make it. And it has nothing to do with you.
Well, I think it's a great decision. I don't want to have nothing to do with it. Period.
Good.
Because I don't want to have no
You
child support.
You don't have anything to do with it. Period.
Imagine fucking being put in jail for child support because you banged some idiot, bro. That would suck. That would really fucking suck.
I don't want you talking about people that are struggling as idiots. Okay? I want empathy. Okay? People... 99.99999% of women who have an abortion is not something that they're looking forward to. Is not a decision that they wish they had to make. Okay? And you have nothing to do about it. You have zero say. It doesn't matter if you approve of it or not. Nobody gives a shit about your approval. Not talking to you, Whisper. It doesn't matter. This is an incredibly personal thing. Again, decision that no one wants to have to make. So your input doesn't help. Either way. So, and it doesn't matter. It just couldn't matter less. So please do your best to just have empathy for people in your neighborhood, in your community, and don't, understand they're already having a hard enough time. And try not to make it worse. I'm not saying you got to take them food or whatever, just try not to make it worse. And understand that we're all having a hard time. And when you add this negativity about this person or that person, you're adding negativity to your life. And like I said, this person over here doesn't need that negativity added to their life. Even more so, you don't need it added to your life. So why do you keep dumping more and more negativity onto your life? You don't want to do that to your neighbors. You don't want to do that to yourself. You want to focus on issues that are important, like war profiteers that are doing their absolute best to keep us in a never-ending war of choice that really couldn't matter less to Americans unless, of course, you're war profiteering. Okay? So, and that's why I want us to come together. That's why I want us to have empathy for each other, because the only way we come together is because we care about each other. Coming together isn't going to be about me, 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 me. Coming together to take our government back isn't about me, 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 me. It's about all of us. It's about the people who come after us. It's about our legacy. And I don't want it to be, extincting everything on the planet. Getting it to where there's no point of no return, right? And Chris, I don't want to see everything extinct on the planet. What I'm telling you is that we have no control over. This other stuff, where this never-ending pollution, these horrible politicians who are the ones that are getting us into these wars and threatening our children with nuclear bombs, they are the priority when it comes to what's wrong. We don't have to worry about the nuclear weapons. They're not going to fuck us. These people are the ones that are already fucking us. These people are the ones that are killing the manatees. And how are they killing the manatees? With nuclear weapons? No, they're killing them with our tax dollars being spent on making more and more weapons, on our tax dollars being sent over to another country to expand a war that wouldn't even exist anymore if our country hadn't gotten involved in the first place. We can save the planet. We can save your children. First, we have to take our government back. First, we have to send all the politicians and all the war profiteers, same thing, off to prison for the rest of their lives and seize all their assets so that their families have to live destitute and in shame and don't have some psychotic fucking belief that they can step into their parent, their father, their mother, their uncle's fucking footsteps, shoes, and pick up right where he left off. No, we just seized all your money. So you can go to McDonald's and get a job there, unless, of course, they know that you're a horrible war profiteer. And then they'd rather have not fucking scumbags working at their restaurant. You won't even be able to get a job at McDonald's. Your kids won't be able to get a job at McDonald's. And that's what you and your family deserve, because that's what you've done to our country over and over, and you're just making it worse. All the war profiteers to prison now. And you know why this is a good thing? Because if war profiteering was illegal, if no one was profiting off war, what would be the purpose? What would be the purpose of spending all our money, of making all this aggravation? The aggravation, these people are enemy propaganda, never ending. It benefits none of us. except for the war profiteers and the elites. And I should find something better to talk about. Did I play all my videos now? No, I still have one left. Do you want to see another video? I'll play another video. How about that? I'll be back in just a moment.
So Nina Jankowicz is our new Minister of Truth. She's a peppy little chick from Georgetown University. Sometimes it's hard to know whether she's ridiculous or sinister or both. Probably both. We also know, in addition to being absurd, she's a pretty hardcore political activist. Spent the last couple of years repeating the Democratic Party's talking points. Every day we find new evidence of this, so we thought we should bring it to you. Here's the latest. It's from October of 2021.
Critical race theory has become one of those hot button issues that the Republicans and other, disinformers who are engaged in disinformation for profit, frankly. There are plenty of, media outlets that are making money off of this too, have seized on. And I live in Virginia, and in Loudoun County, that's one of the areas where people have really honed in on this topic.
Republicans and other disinformers. Bet you didn't know you're a disinformer. So it turns out you're not allowed to say things that she doesn't like, or you're a disinformer for profit, probably working for Putin. Again, hard to know whether this is absurd or sinister or both, probably the signature Biden administration mixture of the two. But don't take our word for it. Azra Nomani is a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Network, and she has a much better assessment than we do. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. So what do you make of this person, our new truth czar?
Oh my gosh, she just pulls something or the other out of her little Mary Poppins bag, right? Now she's come up with this idea that the parents are disinformers. For 2 years, it hasn't been enough to call us white supremacists and racists and bigots and now QAnon moms. Because ultimately, for the Democratic Party, we, the parents, are a threat. And so what we have now is a woman who is actually a character assassin in charge of our office of disinformation.
So it's a little bit
really
like
outrageous.
Biden. So Biden is so obviously not present that he seems harmless, but actually he's highly aggressive and cruel. And maybe that's kind of what's going on through her. She's so ridiculous, so low IQ and kind of like ditzy sorority girl that you don't get that she's actually kind of Soviet.
Oh, it's really disturbing because, her little anecdote about the parents at Loudoun County, I know those parents, right? I know I'm in Fairfax County. Their moms like Yu Yanzhou, who stood in Tiananmen Square to challenge tyranny and now is in America fighting for American democracy. They are brave parents, and at no time have we been anything but sincere. And so what we are is such a threat to these folks, right? And what we are doing now is creating this incredible network of moms and dads all across the country, mama bears and papa bears, who are saying, you know what? You can call us any name that you want, because if you've raised a teenager, you've gone through everything, right? But it doesn't matter. We can survive and we can be resilient.
It's such a wise point. Sincerity is the most important quality at this moment and is the greatest threat to them. And you are sincere. I agree with that completely. Azra Nomani, thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Tucker.
So that was Nina Jankowicz, we just told you, the head of the Ministry of Truth. Already she's being sued, by the way. The states of Missouri and Louisiana have just filed a lawsuit against the administration, including officials like Jankowicz, for colluding with big tech to censor speech, which they are doing. The Biden administration does it in public. They've repeatedly called on Facebook, Twitter, other platforms to censor opinions that are critical of them. Eric Schmidt is the Attorney General of Missouri. He's the top law enforcement in that state. He's joined this suit. He joins us tonight. Mr. Attorney General, thanks so much for coming on. Tell us why you're suing.
Well, look, we're taking on and we're fighting back against the two of the most powerful and corrupt institutions that are out there, big government and big tech, for colluding, working together to suppress speech. And they do it in a couple different ways, Tucker. They hold over these special protections like Section 230 protections unless they censor more. They also have been very outspoken. Jen Psaki's talked about how they're flagging posts now in July of last year, flagging posts for Facebook as disinformation. So they're working directly with them. We know that. And then now this newest Orwellian chapter, this dystopian chapter of the Ministry of Truth. I mean, you have Mary Poppins in charge of this thing, I guess, now. And that would be like putting, by the way, Corella DeVille in charge of managing an animal shelter. It's a total disaster, okay? These folks are nuts. They're intent on suppressing speech that they don't like, calling it disinformation, misinformation. So we're filing a lawsuit. And Tucker, you talk about this all the time. The reality is, individuals have a right to speak their mind. This is at the core of the American experiment, that this is a God-given right. Government's there to protect those rights, not to tell you what you can say and when you can say it. So this lawsuit, it's a landmark lawsuit. We're going directly after the collusion. They're working together to suppress speech, and we're fighting back.
So just as quick as a constitutional matter, government cannot encourage censorship. That's a direct, I mean, we know that through the Supreme Court, many rulings over years, that's a violation of the First Amendment, correct?
Yep, that's exactly right. And what we're arguing in this case, Tucker, is that they're outsourcing that. The government is outsourcing the censorship to their big tech partners. They're flagging it. And by the way, they're terrified. When we get into discovery here and find out how Jen Psaki and Fauci and Mary Poppins here are working with the big tech partners, what they're asking, what they're telling them to take down, we know it's the laptop from hell. We know it's the origins of COVID. We know it's the ineffectiveness of masks. We know all of these things that they've been working with them on, and this lawsuit will help bring those to light and expose it, and that's why it's an important case.
Mr. Attorney General, I appreciate your coming on tonight. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Developing now, Elon Musk is expected to serve as a temporary CEO of Twitter for a few months after he completes his $44 billion takeover of the company. Today, an SEC filing shows Musk also secured another $7 billion from friends and other investors to buy Twitter. The investors include Oracle founder Larry Ellison, cryptocurrency platform Binance, and venture capital firms Sequoia and Andreessen Horowitz. The new infusion of cash means Musk can reduce his personal debt.
So did you see his thing that he did where he put his hand over his heart? I do that, like, means like, I feel you, and I like that he feels people, I also, I fist bump people right in the heart also, boom. I don't know why. It just seems like an appropriate greeting. Sometimes. All right, so that being said, the telephone number is up there on the screen. If you'd like to call, the number is 805-669-6397. I'd love to have a discussion with you. I'm going to go ahead and give you all another minute to call. I can't look forward more to an actual social media platform where we can actually talk about things like COVID and the origins of COVID and the Hunter Biden laptop and so many other things that they can look at, and they can tell you that you're dangerous and we can't allow you to say the things that you're saying. And when they say you're dangerous, you have to wonder who you're dangerous to, because I know you people are a bunch of bloodthirsty, cold-blooded killers. I know you are. That doesn't give them the right to fucking censor you. And it's not that that you're bad for the general public. It's that you're bad for them. They're terrified of your free speech. They're terrified of our free speech. And it's because of, I think it's partially because of the kind of thing that I do here, which is, we have this discussion, and if you had one where it could get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's not just, in the chat, people saying da-da-da-da-da, it's actual conversation, people hearing voices saying, yes, we have to throw all these people in prison, or whatever else it is that people say, and making the actual connection to humanity. I don't think you get that through the chat. I mean, it's nice to share emojis and everything else, highs and nice to see you and all this. The thing is that when your voice comes into play, it's like you actually become part of the discussion. Your humanity comes into play. And I'm not saying that your humanity goes out the window once you start texting. What I'm saying is it's so much more difficult to read what you're saying, to feel your emotion, to understand your passion. As where if you're talking on the phone, you can hear the sincerity in many of the callers' voices, you know, and when people are not sincere, speaking of which, you can hear that too. What now?
Oh, hey, Mox. This is Dr. Whisper. Our phone got disconnected. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that.
It wasn't your fault. I did it. Go ahead.
I think it was the phone companies, you know.
You can think whatever you like. I'm the one who kicked you out. So, what would you like to say
hung
now?
up on me?
Are we done here, or did you have something to say?
I was calling to have a conversation about humanity.
Oh,
like
good.
You were just talking about, and you want, because talking to the chat and all those crazy people in the chat doing emojis and shit, you know, it's better when you call. So I was just like,
Not necessarily when you call. Go ahead.
I thought since our phone got disconnected by the telephone company, but apparently I got hung up on, you know.
Yes, like you do regularly because you're being mean and ugly.
That kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, Michael.
Well, you know, the thing is there's this thing called karma. And when you go out and spit out stuff that's going to hurt people's feelings, it kind of comes back at you.
Dude, listen, I don't believe in karma, so I don't
fine.
believe that.
Karma doesn't believe in you either.
Well, that's not what you just said. You just said, like, I say mean stuff, and
right.
What did I say that was so mean and so bad?
You know what you say. Now,
what did I say that
I'm
was
not
so bad?
You're talking mean about people who have to make a horrible decision as if they're doing it for pleasure, okay? And they don't deserve that. And look, I'm not here to have this stupid conversation. Do you actually want to talk about something?
I don't want to have this conversation. You said it was horrible, by the way.
Yes, it is a horrible decision that some people have to make, which has nothing to do with you.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to talk about serious fucking issues about, you know, what is the show topic again for real? Like, it's not Alex fucking Jones, dude. I thought I see Joe Biden's thumbnail. What is it? I didn't even read the fucking headline. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
I'm hungry, dude. Did you actually have something to say? Or are you just trying to keep me from my dinner?
Dude, do you actually think that you need another burrito?
It doesn't.
Seriously.
Well, I just smoked 2 fat bong hits. Of course I need another burrito. What are you talking about? And a brownie, for that matter. None of your goddamn business.
Why don't you just go grab a burrito real quick and bring it back and show us what this burrito looks like? And I will hold over the show until you get back.
You wish.
I don't wish.
I know that you do. You come out here every fucking day and tell me how the show would be if you were in charge. So.
Why is that such a big deal?
What?
I just was saying, like, hey, if you need a break, I could take over and be like, hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Whisper, filling in for Fox News while he gets a burrito.
Okay.
And I could talk a lot about shit. I'd be like, yeah,
I know, we all know you can talk a lot about shit. We're all very well aware of that.
I mean, I'm just like you. I've been inspired.
You are in no way just like me.
I am just like you. But, you know, you talk a lot. Don't be acting like I fucking talk a lot. You talk a lot. Like, a lot. You talk.
It's something you do when you have a YouTube webcam show. You talk. Okay? At least a lot of people do. I suppose some people do other things. But,
why don't you go warm up your tea, Give your voice a little rest. Let me just host the show for 5 minutes. Grab a fucking burrito.
Why don't you start your own show so that you can host a show for 5 minutes or however long you like? I'm hungry. I played my show. That's the second telephone call I've given you. And you know I was getting ready to go eat. So, hey, I want that up there. I am just wondering if anybody else wants to have a quick chat, and if you do, the telephone number's there. Otherwise, I am going to go watch Kung Fu movies and have a big fat burrito. Because I can. What a life, right? Big fat hand-rolled burrito, Kung Fu movies on a 65-inch screen. Man, what a life, right? Nice cup of tea. How much more can a guy ask for? Beautiful people to share. I'm talking about you, Jackie Cat. Hello, caller.
Hey, Matt.
What's up, G?
I thought you were dead already, but then I saw on my feed that, on my YouTube feed that you're still live. Wonder why? What's going on? Did I need something in the last 3 hours?
I'm gonna go get food, Manny. I don't think you missed anything. Nothing ever happens on this show, dude.
Well, depends. Remember when the whole Putin started bombing the crap out of Ukraine around your time, around the Moscow time?
No.
Oh, that was like Wednesday, I believe. Anyway, sorry, I didn't see the show earlier though. I was watching Doctor Strange. That's a good movie.
Oh, cool. Is it good?
Yeah. I paid like $15, but still, it was good.
Yeah, I don't like that character. He's really stupid.
Well, everyone has his own taste, though. I mean, I'm okay with like. I'm not a big fan of the Marvel universe, but if a movie's entertaining,
Yeah.
I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
This was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy? You seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
That's. No, that's not coming yet. Yeah, I saw the second one of the movies today. The first one I said,
It's a great movie. It's a great movie. As far as Marvel stuff goes, I don't think it gets much better than that.
Yeah, I like it though. But yeah, I just came home watching Doctor Strange. It was a good movie. For the money I paid, it was a good movie.
Right on.
So yeah, I just want to say hi, Mark. I was like, I think out today. Like, what the hell? And I was surprised that you were still on at this time.
You know, what else have I got to do? I'm gonna go eat burritos. I had tacos for lunch. What did you have for lunch, Manny?
I actually have a Subway.
A Subway? You love Subway.
Well, here's the thing, Mark. I have a coupon. I'm not sure. I'll tell you. I'll tell you the tweet. Here's the trick. You can buy a foot long for $5.99.
Nuh-uh.
If you order online.
If you order what?
Online.
Oh, huh.
See, there's when you go to Subway store, you pay like $12-13 for a foot long. And if you buy it online, and you also have to find a Subway that participates because a lot of Subways, especially in the downtown, though, they don't like the issue.
Yeah.
And I have a bad experience with them. I went to a Subway and I paid like $20 for a Coke. I dislike it.
Well,
so,
obviously.
Here's what you have to do. You have to order online, everything online, like the toppings, the Subway and everything, the regular foot long, not the pro one, just the regular foot long.
Uh-huh.
And then at the checkout, it's going to ask you to use a code. It's going to ask you want to pay a code. You use the code $5.99 foot long.
Huh.
Again, $5.99 foot long. And it's going to bring the foot long down to $5.99.
Wow. Well, thanks for that information, Manny.
Yeah, definitely. No problem, Mark. Here's a couple of things. You have to do everything online, so you have to either have a credit card, debit card, or PayPal. and you have to use that code, and you have to find a subway that does.
Right. I hear you. No, that's awesome, man. I had no idea. I thought that's what Craig was saying, is that the prices at the subway have gone crazy. So,
Yeah, man.
but
No, for real.
but what'd you have for dinner?
I actually ate a snack over there at the cinema in the Square.
Well, I had tacos for lunch, and I'm having burrito for dinner. So, I am doing my Cinco de Mayo thing as big as I get it.
Hey, you know something funny, Max? I don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
I know. I asked you that yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, apparently it is a holiday in Mexico, but nobody celebrates over there.
Yeah, that's what you said.
It's an American thing.
I look at Americans love any reason to fucking party, man. So, like I said yesterday, St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, Cinco de Mayo, whatever they can come up with to, go woo! They're gonna, because they're overworked and such, man. Underappreciated. They like a chance to cut loose here and there.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I work hard sometimes. I work 12 hours sometimes because I do accounting, and accounting is very cyclical, so sometimes I have to work 12 hours in a single day.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, man. The day that Mexicans start acting all like drunk and stereotypical and stuff is actually September 15 at night.
I don't know what you're saying. September 15th?
Yeah, that's when Mexicans actually celebrate and they get drunk and they get like.
What is it they celebrate?
Stuff. That's actually Independence Day.
Independence Day?
Actually, Independence Day, yeah. Well, the story is that there was this priest in Mexico, but he got all angry and all pissed because of the Spaniards. And actually, the story was around like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
He told the famous grito, which is basically a deal like rallying people together to start rebelling against the Spaniards.
Mm-hmm.
It was around 4 or 5 in the morning, but then like 100 years later of the Porfirio Diaz government, they did the recreation around 11 p.m. on September 15th instead of the 16th.
Huh.
So ever since 100 years ago, or a little bit more than 100 years ago, people around 11 p.m. people in Mexico start celebrating what is called the grito. And you can look it up though on YouTube.
No, that sounds like a great celebration. What about the Day of the Dead? Is that something that happens?
Actually, it happens a lot, but it's in a more traditional sense. When you go to the actual, cemeteries, in traditional Central and Southern Mexico, you see a lot of people like putting candles and like bringing mariachi to the dead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But that's more like a
it's not a party kind of thing?
No, it's not.
Huh.
They actually pay respect to their dead.
Yeah, Memorial Day.
The thing you see like the parades and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, that was actually one of the James Bond movies who did the parade.
Mm-hmm.
And necessarily I don't know what the government of Mexico City started doing that after that James Bond movie. So this is recent. This is the parade. It's not more than 10 years old.
Huh? That's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. Right on, Manny. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed your movie and your Subway.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to get a cheap Subway, you have to pay online. Use the code 599 food level.
Got that, people? $5.99. They ask you if you want to apply a code when you're checking out, and you apply the code $5.99 footline. What is it? Footlong.
Footlong.
Yeah, $5.99 footlong, and instead of having to pay $14 for your sandwich, it costs $5.99. But you said, yeah, okay, Manny. All right, bud.
But here's the thing, though. You have to pay online with a credit card, debit card, or PayPal. And you have to find a Subway that participates in it. That's the other thing. And I think that's the trickiest part. Finding a Subway that participates in it. And I don't think a lot of Subways in downtown participate in it.
Yeah, no, everything here costs more.
Oh, yeah, man. I went to even a downtown Subway by Lake Union. It was like $20 for like a foot long and
Yeah.
And the chips.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
And some Subway, they force you to pay tips.
It's been that way a long time, man. You know, they have 99-cent burgers at McDonald's or whatever, except for if you go downtown, it costs like $4 for it or something. So,
Don't you close the McDonald's that used to be in front of the Seattle Center recently?
yeah, they took it down.
That's sad, because that was a very good McDonald's.
It was a very busy McDonald's. It made a lot of money, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, not as busy as the one in front of Disneyland, but still very busy. But
Yeah.
I used to go a lot and eat when I used to live in Southern California, I used to go to Disneyland a lot. And instead of eating inside the park, I used to go across the street to eat McDonald's. And we're talking about 2007, 2008. And instead of paying like $25 or $25 for a hamburger and a little thing and a fries, I ended up paying like $5 to $6 for a combo in a McDonald's. But this is 2007, 2008, in front of Disneyland.
Okay, Manny. Well, it's always good to hear from you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed your movie. And I look forward to talking to you again soon, okay?
All right, man. Well, are you having a show tomorrow?
I don't have that on the schedule just yet, so maybe.
Okay. Something huge happened.
Okay, Manny. I look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, man. Take it easy.
See you later. That's our buddy Manny from the East Side, and he was recommending the Subway. You gotta type in the code, $5.99 foot long online. That's a pretty good deal, thanks to Manny. I don't know. The McDonald's across from the Space Needle has shut down, which is so weird. But I think that they're building some huge building there, which isn't weird for downtown Seattle, that's for sure. I am going to, I guess I'm going to wait here for another minute for a call from someone else than Dr. Whisper and see if we can talk for a minute. Otherwise, you know, this freedom of speech thing, this freedom thing, it doesn't exist. You know, I mean, I'm a very, very free person. I have, you know, I have very little filter. So I want everyone to enjoy life the way they see fit. You know, I don't want this restraint. I don't want this is okay to say and that's not okay to say. And it's so weird that people seem to fall into this default thing where, you know, well, we can't say this, we can't say that. And I don't see a lot of things. I don't know a lot of things that should be banned from saying. You know, it's like banning books, you know, which is exactly the place we're at now on social media, on in our government, this disinformation board. It's exactly like burning books. Exactly. So that's our government. That's what we need to take back for the people, for your children, for the future. And until we do, we're going to have a government that burns books every chance they get because they're threatened by information. All right, that being said, we do this every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back on Tuesday, same Mox time, same Mox channel. And until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is going to end. Stay cool till then. Stay cool till then. It's got to end one of these days, doesn't it? I sure hope so.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
I'm going to show you my invisible mask.
Very serious.
This is my invisible mask for Stacey Abrams. Ready? I'm going to put it on. It's on. It's great. All right, Carol. Last word here. Okay, I'm going to show you my invisible mask.
Very serious.
This is my invisible mask for Stacey Abrams. Ready? I'm going to put it on. It's on. It's great. All right, Carol. Last word here.